Hello, my fellow goobers. Today is the day I've been waiting for a long time. We're doing some actual, dedicated, bona fide voice acting stuff on the channel. Surprise! I've become 3D through the power of technology, I guess. Yeah. Merry Christmas for anyone who's going to be celebrating it tomorrow that I don't run into, and Merry subsequent Christmas for the 25th for anyone normal who celebrates it on a normal day. Great to see you guys. Great to see you guys. There's going to be so much cool stuff today. I'm very excited. Yeah. Let's get some ground rules out the way. First of all, no backseat gaming as I play through this video game we're definitely going to be playing. Second of all, bagged milk is forbidden on the premises. Please keep it as far away as humanly possible. That's it. Those are the only important rules to go over today. You keep your bagged milk to yourself, and yeah, no backseat gaming on this definitely Honkai live stream. Yeah. This is actually my VR chat avatar exported to a program. I'm actually physically gesturing right now with my hands, but the program doesn't support me doing that, so you don't get the full Terra experience. But that's probably for the best, if we're all honest. Yeah. So to get started, I'm gonna tell you guys what today is gonna be, what it's not gonna be, and I guess set some expectations for what will be a kind of lengthy stream, and probably something I will trim up in segments later on for YouTube, maybe, if that's the preference. As much as I like production quality, right? Like, if anyone knows me, you know I'm extra. I tend to do things a little bit, shall we say, like if I'm gonna do something, I tend to full send it, right? I make it look nice and fancy. I'm gonna whack my mic as I go, and oh man, that really needs oiling, huh? I full send it, but this isn't going to be very polished. I thought about doing like a dedicated YouTube tutorial, but to be honest, there's so many out there. You'll find so many YouTube videos on how to get into voice acting, and most of them are going to be by professional streamers. Professional voice actors or voice directors or such. I myself, I'm just a local goober. I'm very much not a professional. I do not work in the industry. I just make funny videos for YouTube, but I have done commissions, I have done projects and things. This is just going to be my experience, how I operate, what I've been through, what I've learned, what I've discovered. For anyone that's in a similar boat of like, hey, I'm getting into voice acting, what the fuck do I do? This might hit a couple of the notes that you're after. This is aimed at people that have literally never gotten started. You're like, yo, that was kind of fun. Let's do it. You're in the right place if that's your mindset. If you're looking how to land industry AAA gigs, you're looking to figure out a proper professional workflow, probably not the place. But this should still be fun. I hope you guys learned something, and throughout the entire thing, I'm sure I'll learn something from the chat as I make various mistakes and such. But I think that's all the big things I wanted to mention at the start. So, yo, what's up, Serenica? Yeah, he moves. Look at this. It's really kind of tethered movement, I will say. I'm not used to being so constricted, but that's okay. Last but not least, it's a Q&A. So at any point during the stream, if you want to stop and say like, hey, can you elaborate what the hell you're talking about? No one knows what you're saying, bro. Please, by all means. But I will also have at the start and end, probably at the end of each segment. At the start would be kind of funny. To just take some time to go over any questions. If you want explanations more on things I've mentioned, I'll do my best to go over the technicals. I've learned a lot about audio engineering from just doing, from doing music and from doing voice acting and from doing some audio projects. So I can share a little bit of knowledge, but I'm not not an audio engineer connoisseur, right? So I'll do my best. That's it. I think that's it. That's all the big beats. We've said all the things I said to myself, hey, before you get started, these are the things you're going to say. So In that case, then, I think without further ado, we can actually get started and talk about some stuff. The aggressively static JPEG feels, oh, it's covered. It feels odd, but it wasn't a surprise. Yeah, you should. I can't gesture angrily at you guys, which is tragic. But yeah, alas. Just picture I'm doing it. A lot of finger guns, a lot of flipping you off throughout this video, definitely. But yeah, JPEG. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna try to not go too quickly with this. I'm gonna take my time. There's no rush in this video. It's a long stream, so let's just go through it bit by bit. What inspired me to enter the industry? Oh my god. To be completely honest, I play, maybe some of you guys can relate, but I play a lot of D&D. Like a lot of D&D. And I really like, you know, figuring out a character's voice and, you know, as a DM doing NPC voices and stuff, right? I think that's a lot of fun. And I did that for years. And someone close to me actually got me a set of voice acting lessons, like proper tutoring for a couple of months with a one-on-one tutor for D&D purposes, right? I was like, yo, that's super cool. And I loved it. I really enjoyed it. Had a great time, learned a lot of stuff. And then like 2 years later, no longer, it's been like maybe 4 years before I actually put it towards like voice acting, not just D&D stuff. And yeah, worth it. Learned a lot, had a lot of fun. It's great. Yeah. I love D&D. I just want to make that clear. D&D is one of my favorite things in the world. And if you just want to get into voice acting to have a better time or to be more expressive or do an accent in D&D, by all means, that any purposes, any reasoning you want to learn this skill set, send it. For me, it's making dumb posts on YouTube. For others, maybe it's making D&D content. For some, maybe it's just to speak out loud and, you know, do whatever. What was my first role? Oh, good question. It's been a bit. I think my first role was like actual, like, finished it and it went onto YouTube. I don't think it was a paid role, so I don't know if I consider it professional. It was a short little clip. Was doing a little voiceover dub for Albedo, which is how I mean, I knew Genshin existed, right? I loved the soundtrack. I'd seen some videos, but that was the first time I really had to look up lore, and I was like, who the hell is this Albedo guy? And practiced his voice for ages, and yeah, it was good fun. First paid gig I did was a little Star Wars project. What was it? Path of the Jedi. It's a little stop motion one. It's really cool. I love the animation. Really fun project. But yeah. So, I'm gonna go through. We'll stop and banner as we go, but I'm gonna not sit on my laurels. We'll get started with part 1 of this this video, which is, and honestly, this is a good point to branch into it, is prospecting. Basically, if you want to get into voice acting, whether it's professionally, whether it's as an amateur, whether it's just you want to find something to do, prospecting is like how you find a project. It's whether you're going out and looking for one, whether it's someone coming to you and saying, hey, I liked your demo reel, do you want to voice in my thing? Prospecting is like how you start. That is step 1 of any project. I'm going to show you some stuff. I'm going to show you some things, some different ways prospecting would happen, and most importantly, stuff to watch out for. Because gods above, do I wish I was more cautious when I started doing voiceover projects. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of them out there. Some of them, and this is to no fault or ill will of the creators, some of them are, it's their first time, right? Maybe someone in their youth has just jumped on and they're like, hey, I want to do a little comic dub or whatever else, and they've typed up a project and they're like, let's get some voice actors in. There's a lot of things that can go wrong for someone who's never worked on it before. Either, you can end up with a script that is, lackluster. You can end up with project members who are very, let's just say, if you're not in a professional project, don't expect professional results every time. Sometimes people can be, like, honestly, just a little bit grating. Sometimes people, they don't like seeing other people that are doing, like, good voices. They'll constantly down-talk themselves. They'll get into arguments. Sometimes you'll have people that just disappear off the face of the earth. They just, like, uninstall Discord. Sometimes you'll have a script that just has nothing but your text. Like, you have no context to the script. You have no stuff leading up to it, like no voice lines from the other characters. It's just your stuff, and you're expected to roll with it. You'll find directors that get annoyed, directors that get very, very quickly demotivated. Disagreeable is probably the best word, yeah, spot on, coffee. You'll find all sorts of stuff out there. And sometimes that's fine. If it's your first time, just have fun with it. Like, don't get too caught up in it. But sometimes you can end up in a project that very quickly you regret joining, and there's nothing more awkward than having to bow out of a project. It'll happen from time to time, but I hope to show you some stuff on how to minimize it too. So, 2 ways you can prospect after voice acting, 2 really big ways. The kind of most things are going to fall under these. First one is being proactive, and the second one is being reactive. So proactive, you're going out, you're Googling voice projects, you're sending someone a message on YouTube, you sort of do a comic dub, like, hey, can I come do some dubs too? You're seeking out projects, maybe you're making your own one and posting it out there. Whatever it is, proactive is where you go finding someone. The second one is reactive, which can have a little bit of proactivity in it too. Proactivity, which is where someone is coming to your website, to your card page, however else, to your Discord sometimes in my case, and they are getting you to come voice for their project because they've heard your reel or they've seen stuff you've worked on before, and they're like, hey, let's cook. Yes, definitely keep low expectations. Maybe that's a negative way to say it. Maybe it does sound a little harsh. Yeah, maybe you're right. But at the end of the day, it's the reality of it. If you're not being paid, the director's not being paid, no one involved is being paid, and no one involved is professional people that do this for a living, you have to temper your expectations. Some of the stuff you're going to work on is just going to be not there. I have Discord chats right now that I joined 5-6 months ago when I started, and the director's not even on Discord anymore. Like, those projects, we recorded all our lines, we submitted them, and the director just ghosted. It's a reality of it. There's no checks or balances like you would have with joining a professional company. It's just the nature of it. But it can still be fun. Like, as long as you are having fun with it, as long as you enjoyed recording it, there's no harm in doing it. The only thing I'd ever be worried about, the only thing that concerns me, like to this day working on stuff, is joining a project and then having my voice attached to someone's project that is very, either they've become a very hostile person in the communities, or the project they're working on, they never showed or talked about, but a lot of the content is just really inappropriate. Like maybe the lines I've been given are totally fine, but I'm in a project that has like some really, I don't know, racist overtones or maybe homophobic overtones that just hasn't been announced. Those are the kinds of things you need to kind of be careful about when you're joining projects. So it's a good idea to look at what the person's worked on before. It's a good idea to just be careful and mindful. There's a lot of tells and cues you'll see when you're looking up a project based on the way someone types or the lack of information. I will say, and you're going to see some of these, but when someone is saying a lot of stuff like, oh, this is my first project, expect brutal, horrible, gruesome cutscenes and shocking content that is horrifying, and they have no signs of any prior stuff they've worked on. They don't actually tell you what these themes are going to be. They're just going to say, if you're not comfortable with strong themes, like, don't participate. maybe be careful, because sometimes what someone considers strong themes is just really disturbing content that you don't want to be a part of. It's, yeah, to be associated with projects with bad intentions, definitely something I don't want to be roped into. And it's happened. I have been in some projects. Usually the way I'll handle it is just say to them, hey, listen, after seeing this content in action, I don't really want to be a part of this anymore. I'd like to bow out of the project. If they are combative or such, I mean, it kind of just reinforces the point. But the best you can sometimes hope for is just to have your name, your credit taken from the project, or generally just don't talk about it that you're in it. Just keep it off the reels or such. The end of the day, if you don't have a contract, it gets very difficult to have someone take the content down. You just gotta roll with the punches. But that's why the best way to handle it is avoid these projects from the get-go. Exactly, yeah. Low expectations, no expectations. Yes, sir. That is the way to go. That is a good start. I've got some instant coffee. It's really bad. So let's talk about one of the most common proactive ways. If you've ever seen this website before, you're going to know what you're in for. But we're going to talk about this right here, Casting Call Club. Now, I'm sure some of you have heard of this before. I'm sure some of you have maybe even participated in this before, or maybe you've just seen me linking my Casting Call Club in the description of stuff. Shouldn't the director be... Shouldn't they be transparent? You are very much correct. Are they always transparent? Well. That is a different question. Yeah. Sometimes you do the best you can. Casting Call Club is where I started getting into some voice acting stuff. It's a good website. There's nothing wrong with it. I ran, God, I'm gonna suddenly feel very old. About 8 years ago now. 8 years ago now? Yeah, when I was, no, longer. 9 or 10 years ago now. When I was a wee teenager, I ran my first project on Casting Call Club. Let's just say this website's been around a while. I was a director on a project, not a voice actor. I did a little short film with a very nice group, and I had the most wonderful time. Absolutely great, brilliant people, and I hope to work with them again. Like, I'd love to. I haven't really worked on many big projects that require their skill sets. These guys are really good voice actors. And quite frankly, most of what I'm doing, aside from a few things, is just shit posting. And I don't know, maybe they're into that. Maybe I'll ask. But the point is, it's a good website. You can get some great stuff out of here. I've had some paid roles. I've had some freelance roles. I've had some... Well, really, that's the only two types of roles, right? Either you're volunteering or you're being paid. But I've had both come from there, and I've worked as a director and as a voice actor. Some of these projects, there is no requirements when you're setting up a project. You join the website, you sign up as a director, you post the project. It's that simple. You can probably immediately see why this can be a bad thing, and why it can also be a really good thing. This is a great place for people to start. And it's also a great place for people to slip in to the community unnoticed and just post whatever. Whether or not they intend to ever complete it, they'll just put it up there. They take auditions. Some of these projects will do incredible things. Some of them you'll never see the light of day. I won't go into it too much more than that because, again, we just had a big spiel about, what things to look out for, that is to say, temper expectations. But that's basically this website. You can sign up, you can create an account, you can audition on various projects. I'll give you a look. Obviously, you can look at this website yourself. I don't need to cater you the entire way. But if we go through what the open projects look like, you'll get basically a big, long list of different projects that people have posted. Some of these are going to be for video games, some of them for anime, some of them dubbing. Some of them are original projects, and some of them are fan dubs. Now, the fan dubs, not everyone on Casting Call Club is going to be well versed in copyright law. This This is a simple matter. It is just the way it is. Very much a lot of the time, some of these projects, you'll volunteer for them, you'll do the voicing, they're just going to get taken down off YouTube immediately. DMCA'd because either they don't have the rights to the animation, they don't have the rights to the voiceover, they don't have rights to the music, whatever else they've done, it'll just disappear. So be careful when you're looking at projects that have that are fan projects. If they're going up on YouTube, just be mindful. It might get taken down eventually. Now, there are some exceptions. There's a lot of reasons why someone might dub something. Namely, accessibility is a big one. I'm not a lawyer. Let me clarify that from the get-go, right? I voice act. I don't do legal stuff. But to my understanding, and a lot of the projects I've been in have explained this from a legal perspective, if a project has never been aired publicly and officially in a language, most of the time the law has enough leeway for you to cover that project in the language it has not been covered in, especially if something has only been covered in text and not covered in voice. There's a lot of exceptions for paid content as well. Naturally, some things are going to be blocked behind certain paywalls, but you'll see a lot of Spanish dubs, a lot of French dubs, and even for projects that never aired in English, a lot of English dubs. Those tend to get a free pass as far as the law is concerned. So localizations, accessibility projects, usually a better bet than just raw, okay, we're dubbing over, and namely, a lot of projects will ask you to sound like the already dubbed actors. Those ones, be careful with. You can sort and look and order through projects specifically. It's not actually just for voiceover, but you can look through voice acting stuff, you can look through unpaid, deferred. Be cautious. Deferred is where if the project makes money, you get money. If it doesn't, you don't. Treat that like an unpaid project in my view. And you can filter by paid work. You can filter by some very detailed stuff on the different genres based on your voice type, what language, etc., etc. And you can find all sorts of different projects. Here we have a French dub of Resident Evil 2. Here we have a, looks to be, if I'm not mistaken, an original project. Five Nights at Freddy's, audio dramas, tons of different stuff. You can also, on your profile, set up a demo reel on here, so you can have a little voice recording thing, you can tell a little bit about yourself, which makes it quite a nice way to just host a demo reel without having to have a website or anything, which is pretty cool. This is a great website. If you're getting started, I highly recommend it. Just go in cautiously. I wish someone had told me that beforehand and said, hey, careful. Because I've auditioned, as you can see here, for 256 roles. That's over the course of close to 6 months now. Most of them I would not have auditioned for if I had the opportunity to not have done that. Some of them are great projects. If you look through and get a look at some of these bigger projects, Shattered Souls, I love their stuff. They've got some really nice writing in the scripts. These kinds of projects, once you hook on to a nice developer that you can, check out their profile page and follow their different projects that they're posting, great way to pick up some repeat stuff. But yeah, going cautiously. Now, the second way, if I pull up on my other screen, ItsMeTeraVO. I have a card website. Now, card is very useful. It's basically a free use project. It's going to have a set domain, that is to say .card.co. But it's a way for you to host a quick little bit of information about yourself, who you are, and your demo reel. Plenty of different types of demo reels you can host up as well, of course. It doesn't exclusively have to be, it doesn't have to be voice acting. You can do whatever you want with this site. But I have found it to be a great way to quickly have some info, how to contact me, projects I've voiced in, pricing for commissions, my Discord and Custom Cool Club, and a quick, easy way to play like a demo reel.
That practiced in dark magic.
That's not true. That's it's propaganda. I've never been in a cult before in my life. Don't listen to him. But this is really nice. You can have a listing of the different projects you've been through. I link to a YouTube playlist that shows all my stuff. Contacting just opens up a little email thing you can send through. Great way to host some stuff. If you host this on your Discord profile, or you have this on your use desktop VS this. Oh yeah, sorry. Most of these, I'm not going to be showing you too much details about them, so don't worry about the little bits and pieces. You can always check out these URLs or videos. I can throw in chat later too. But you can go through and have this somewhere that people can see. Someone clicks on it, they stumble across, listen to your demo reel. Hey, this guy's pretty cool. I'm going to hire him. I've had a few commissions come my way that way. Some paid work, picked up some projects for YouTube, some projects for mods and games and stuff. Very fun. Very, very flattering to have someone just reach out to you like that. And the more work you do, the more places this URL is visible, or what other websites, or there's a Wix website that you have on projects you've worked on, you start to get more passive stuff. So starting out, proactivity I was really big with, auditioning for tons of projects. Once I had some, what do you call it, clout? I don't know, showed that I can actually voice in a project, much more stuff came directly to me and through Discord DMs, which is a godsend by comparison in my humble opinion. Because to me, constantly auditioning for stuff is great, but I never know the projects I'm going to get into. Whereas someone reaching out, usually I can just have a quick chat with them one-on-one and say, like, all right, tell me about the project really quick. And usually that's much better, and usually they typecast you. I'm going to be completely honest. A lot of my demo stuff sounded like a typical, like, oh, hey, I'm an anime character. And so they typecast me for roles like that, which honestly makes it easier than looking at a role and going, you want me to sound like a gremlin creature that lives under a table? I don't know if I can do that. So yeah, stuff tends to come much more up your alley. And yeah. When am I getting promoted to cult leader? Honestly, with the Discord we have, let's be real. We know what it is. We know what it is by this point. Sweat drop. Yeah, this coffee is still terrible. Do I usually get typecasted? Yeah. I do tend to get cast in young adult male roles. Very flatteringly, like main character energy, which is fun. But main character roles or anything that's kind of a lead role, you can't do too many. You can't do too many of them at once, right? You take on a bunch of stuff. Good lord. What is my gremlin under the table impression? Hire me and find out. Good question. What was I saying? Oh yeah, it's typecasted, right. Yeah, it does happen. Main character stuff. Oh, actually, that is a good point to say on this topic. And I think you should always be careful how many projects you take on. If yeah, it's almost like you're a young male. It's crazy. Don't take off, or don't bite off more than you can chew. I had a point where I had so many projects on my lap that, oh god, yeah. You know, I don't know if this is something I will even cover under, where is it? Do you like my wallpaper, by the way? I do. I really want to stay at your house. I had a schedule right here. Well, I would, every time I had a project, I would write down the character name, I would write down the date I needed the lines in by, and I'd write down whether or not I've finished the, like, if I'm done or not. I'd have some steps for, like, pre-production, ready to record, pending, ongoing, paid, cancelled, etc. And as you can see, actually the dates maybe don't indicate it super well, but at the start, I had a lot, all at once. Like, a bunch of stuff that was coming super, super quickly, and a bunch of projects that I don't think would ever see the light of day. Which was a bad idea. Terrible idea. I was rushing, I was stressed, I felt like I had a week of, like, every day I had something to record. And it was not a good idea. It was not a good idea. So now, if someone reaches out to me and says, hey, do you want to voice in this? I ask you a lot more questions and I'm a lot more careful. Like, is this a project I'm interested in? Is this something I really want to spend my time on? Is it paid? Am I going to be, like, if I'm spending 8 hours doing this, am I going to come out the other side with a project I'm happy with, like something I enjoy doing, or am I going to come out with a paycheck? Like, you know, depending on your prerogatives, it can vary. But definitely be careful how much you take on. Be considerate of the projects, and if you're getting typecasted for lead roles, yeah. I much more enjoy side characters these days. Just someone who's, you know, 20, 30 lines, little stuff. A lot more fun. So that's prospecting. Those are the big beats. Ask questions. If someone has reached out to you and they said, hey, do you want to voice my project? You may be excited and you may want to go, fuck yeah, dude, let's get to it. Just be careful, ask questions, verify the person is working on something you want to be involved in, verify they're going to follow through either by seeing their prior projects or just talking to them for a bit. I'm not a psychologist, but I tend to get a decent read on someone based on what they're saying. Like, if they just don't have info on the role, if they're like, oh, the script is going to be, I don't know, I haven't finished it yet. Or like, oh, how many lines do you have? A few, I guess. Red flags immediately. I'm going to be like, okay, if you can't tell me how many words you're expecting me to say, that's fine. If you don't have an estimate of how many lines, not great. And if you just don't have like any info at all, if I ask you and you're like, I don't know, man. Yeah, obviously, red flag. Don't take it on. Most difficult role I've played? Probably Akutagawa in a dub of the Stray Dogs comic. This is a backstory thing for him. It's not out just yet. I voiced it a couple months ago. Really great project. I'm really excited for it. But he that guy's crazy. He had a lot of emotions ricocheting all over the place. He'd be talking to himself. He'd be freaking out. He'd be yelling. He'd be screaming. And I was like drenched in sweat by the end of that because he'd go, you know, completely over the top with his lines. And I wanted to full send it on there. So that was definitely the hardest for sure. But I have worked with that director on 2 different projects, and both of them have been so much fun. So much fun. Yeah, exactly. I said Stray Dogs because I didn't want to say Bongo. I always mess up pronouncing it. Was it the D&D thing? D&D thing? Probably not. I don't think it's aired just yet. What's the most well-known voice acting thing you did? Probably Crystal stuff. Crystal Blitz. He works with a lot of comic creators, and I think Office Dispute has been my favorite to work on. It's a really, really long series he's been doing. I think it's shown in here. I have them linked up on my YouTube if you want to watch through, but these little comic dubs here, I love them. They're really, really funny. This character's so like deadpan humor. I relate to him on a spiritual level, so it's been a lot of fun. Okay, so it is true. Olive often sleeps in my place whenever she's done working overtime at midnight. They're just roommates. They're not banging, I promise. Smile. I'd say that's probably the most like known one as far as like popularity. I guess the cylinder video too, if I have to qualify it. I guess that's pretty up there. Sweat drop. My most favorite role, Garen. I love Garen. This guy, this little goober. Oh man, he was so much fun to voice. This is my first time. This is my first time voicing a character that hasn't existed before. He didn't have any pre-existing voice actor. He didn't have content that existed before him. He's not from another game. He's just a character that the director wrote from scratch and designed him really nicely and wrote his sort of character. So I really went into that with a lot of fun. And getting to yell through a lot of these lines and stuff was a lot of fun. And I've done a lot of North American voice acting stuff, like speaking, you know, most of the stuff for anime and video games, they tend to want Americans. Like, as soon as someone it was in no means a malicious sense, but someone told me once when I just voiced something closer to my normal accent, I voiced something with some British stuff, they told me to drop the accent. I thought that was so funny. They were like, do it again, but don't sound British. I was like, well, okay, well, fuck me, I guess. I'll do what I can. Yeah, no problem. So, Merc Kekon. Yeah, I guess I did a lot of American stuff. Stock is E too. Sounding like a Boston guy shooting up the place. Hands up, cocksucker. That kind of stuff. That was fun. Yeah, so I thought that was really funny. They said drop the accent. But Garen, as you can hear from his voice here,
gave everything to you, and I was too blind to see how little you valued me.
He's British. So that was fun. I enjoyed voicing British characters, especially someone that's aggressive and yelling. Some of his lines, it's Skyrim. I got to be a Skyrim NPC, so a lot of the stuff I really went into it. I tried to voice like an NPC would in kind of dumb ways now and then for some of the minor lines. So for all this story stuff, he was all like, you know, like, oh, champion, we need to take over this fort as quick as we can. But when it came to his NPC stuff, it was like, be seeing you. Oh, champion, hello there. Which to me, that was so much fun. So definitely Garen is he's my favorite. Yeah, drop the accent. Can you believe it? Ended up doing the voices just in an American accent. But yeah, I've practiced North American a lot. Being able to speak in a completely legitimate North American accent is fine. Am I gonna keep doing the accent throughout the entire stream? You're right, I should drop it. I've really been putting you guys through the ringer this whole time. You didn't come here to listen to someone sound British for the past 2 hours. I shouldn't put you through that. That's messed up. Funnily enough, I wasn't very good with the North American accents for a while. I was much better with, Boston accents or New Yorker accents. I didn't really know which one it was. But that was the first American accent I practiced, so if I'm yelling or speaking fast, I tended to to slip back into that. Yeah. Anyway, prospecting. That's it. Work with directors you've worked with before once you've done some stuff. Look for projects or have people come to you. Those are the big pillar stones, and that has been my rate of success with it. Let's move on. Part 2. Drops accent, all I can see is Arlen. Heard a space station. Who would do such a thing? Ukrainian accent. Shit, they're shooting at this plate. I'm pushing. That's the entire UKM faction on Stalker Z. Shit, guys, I'm suppressing them. I'm out of ammo. I'm reloading, blade. Nice cock, Abonovich. Scripts. Let's talk about scripts. There's a lot to go over here. There's a lot of ways you'll receive a script, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. I'm going to show you one of the first ways you might get your script. Racist? Oh, okay, so it's not racist to put on a Boston accent caricature, but it's racist to put on a Ukrainian accent caricature? God damn. Yeah, switch to... Please, sir, I need more bullets. Well, what's the first way that you might get your script? I'm going to show you. In fact, we're going to write a script together. You guys ready for this? This is pretty good stuff. What do you guys think? I'm not kidding. You will get some scripts, they'll drop it in your lap, and the entire thing looks like this. When I said look out for projects carefully, it's because a lot of them, they will end up sounding like this. You need to be careful. Some projects, they will just throw words on screen. They'll give you no context, no lead up. These are the kinds of projects that I really, really struggle with. If I have some sort of characterization behind the character, Why am I using Windows 10? Don't worry about it. I like Windows 10. I'm not switching to 11. You can't make me. A lot of these scripts will just have purely, what should we say? Just words. Just words. You don't know what you're replying to. You don't know what your character's state of emotion is. That's just what you get. And it is really hard because sometimes you'll end up working on a project that looks great and you're excited for it, and you'll give that voice your all. You'll really send it on this character, and it falls flat because your acting doesn't meet the rest of what's going on. When you have a line like this where you're saying, "Oh no, for all you know, your best friend Marcus has just been shot in the head," and the music has turned dramatic, and the director's thinking in his mind, you're going to be like, "Oh no, Marcus!" But really, you've just turned around and gone, "Oh no!" And now Marcus, it looks like you guys never had anything. It's like you guys don't even matter to each other, which is depressing. That's the thing. I don't like it. Not usually a good bet. Some slightly more advanced scripts. I'm going to pull up one of the ones I've done for a project dub that we're airing soon, which I'm very excited for. It's going to be so much fun. Nearly done. Nearly done. I swear, any day now. You're going to tease it soon. This is kind of a more advanced level you might see. A nice little pronunciation guide at the start. A list of your fellow actors, so you can contact them if needed. And then you'll have the script detailed with context cues on what a character is doing, with director notes as well for what your character's thinking. Like, for example, I think I wrote this one just to give a bit more context to the scene. Character's nervous, doesn't want people fighting. Yuki is chagrined? I googled the word. It means basically like, not embarrassed per se, but awkward situation. Just some context of, like, you know, what the emotions are that the person's having while saying it. For example, here, like someone saying you're far too slouched, then they're slamming the desk a couple of times as they say straighten up. Sometimes it'll just have a quick little note inside where I've said to the actor, like, hey, could you just do a little bit different here? This, oh man, I put this much effort into my directorial scripts because I wish everyone did this. You get way better performances. If you have as much information as humanly possible, that's great. If your director is doing a project for the very first time, maybe consider talking to them and asking them and saying, hey, can you give me more context behind this? What is my character thinking and feeling? Can I get the lines that are leading up, like the lines prior to my character's lines, or some context clues for what I'm talking about? Maybe you do some live direction, however it is, get as much information as possible, because even the best actors, if you've ever seen the prequel trilogy of Star Wars, you know what I mean. Great actors. Sometimes, if the script's not there, or if... I don't want to badmouth George Lucas on stream, but he said it himself. Well, actually, I think people close to him have said it. Sometimes you can be a brilliant storyteller, but your ability to direct an actor, not always that great. And it starts at the script. If the dialogue is flat, if the direction is minimal, you can give the best performance in the world, and it still won't match what the director had in mind. Shift plus scroll up, zoom in. I can't see it. Yeah, let me make it a bit bigger for you here. There's not too much to, I mean, reading through, you can if you wish, but the gist of it is there's some blue notes in here, which are my director notes. There's some context clues for the characters, the prior dialogue, and then some extra notes on the side, sort of like, hey, do this higher pitch. Imagine they're clapping as they're saying it, kind of a thing. Yeah. The more info you can provide like that, the better. And the more advanced the project, the more likely you'll be to get this stuff. And it is gospel. So, if you are, I have no idea why I'm here. I have no interest in voice acting. I just love listening to you. Oh, thanks. I'm flattered. I mean, hey, that's the goal of voice acting, right? Boom. Objective achieved. Smile. Now, the scripts, again, look, they'll vary. If you can, talk to the project director, try to get them to give you some more information. If you can't, just roll with it as best you can. But yeah, scripts, There is no right or wrong. You'll get a script in a million different ways. If someone sends you a bunch of lines in just a .notepad file, it doesn't matter. As long as the information is there, however they format it is fine. Don't think that, there's one written way to do this, because even professional projects, they'll do it in all sorts of different programs. The industry standard is often just one of many ways to do it. There's not much else to say about scripts. Read them thoroughly. Go over them when you get them. That's kind of it, really. I don't really have much else to add to that. So yeah. Any questions about this bit? I kind of forgot to do it with prospecting, but we took a while there. So any questions about scripts? I realize there's a 30-second delay, so I'm going to sip my terrible, now kind of cold instant coffee while I wait. Uh-huh. Yeah. About as bad as it was an hour ago. Oh, one other thing about scripts I guess I can say while I wait. Sometimes, I always forget the word for them. Exertions. Exertions are amazing. If you see, like, this in a script, consider adding a little bit of exertion to it. That is to say, the difference between someone saying, like, if the line just says, and obviously the directors will need to back it up, but if the line just says something like, huh? Instead of just going, huh? Consider adding something kind of more in the lines of like, huh? Like, kind of pause to it, lead up to it. Sometimes if a character's, showing off, maybe they'll fold their arms, kind of go like, kind of a thing. Some vocalizations to add to it. Check with the director, it's okay, of course. But most will be thankful you added in some little bits to the script, especially with audio dramas and stuff, where a little here or there can add a lot to the dialogue, especially in the middle of the long paragraph. What do you do if the script is just really bad? Have I ever wanted to back out of a project because the script is bad? Yes. Yes, I have. Have I done it? No. Should you do it? Probably. I really want to sometimes. Sometimes the script is just so bad and I want to tell the director, bro, no one talks like this. No one says that. What are you doing? But, honestly, the best bet, be professional, keep a straight face, do what the director tells you, because at the end of the day, if you're not a huge fan of the project, not the end of the world. But you don't want to be the guy who's known for fucking sparring with the director nonstop. I realize you can't see my fists. I was shadowboxing. Just imagine it. What's up, Dancho? Yeah, look, we're 3D. Check it out, Mom. I'm 3D. How much? Yes, is the coffee that bad? Yes, it is. No, it's not. It's not. It's not that bad. Kind of is, though. Ugh. Yeah, well, it could be worse. By the way, don't drink coffee while voice acting. I do it. You shouldn't. Dehydrates. Consider hot tea. We'll get to that in a later stage. You got a Kafka ad? There's ads on my stream? YouTube. That's illegal. Yeah, I can't actually mandate whether or not they play ads anymore. It's just mandatory. All I can say is whether or not they exist on the channel, full stop. And even then, if you're not logged in, apparently they just show them sometimes. Bastards. Anyway, how much elaboration is needed? Depends. Sometimes, honestly, the more the better, but it really does depend. I've come across a lot of scripts that will elaborate just a little bit. I'll just say angry in brackets. And if I know the context of the scene, like if I know the character's pissed off, I'm just going to sound angry. I don't have to worry about it. But if he's angry because, he sees a little bit of himself in what's happening here, and he's more projecting, I can give it more of a line that's like, and I'll turn my gain down so I'm not kind of ruining your earballs, but imagine if it's saying something like, I don't know, like, the guy's yelling at him, and instead of saying something like, "You bastard, you killed him, I can't believe you do that," but he's just killed someone, maybe he'd say it more like, "You bastard! I can't believe you do that! You killed him!" You know, oh, sorry, I boosted my gain. I'm really sorry for your eardrums. That might imply that they're guilty as well. So the more information the director provides, especially in stuff like investigation things, yeah, I'm really sorry, I won't do that again. You can really easily figure out for the basic stuff, but the more you get, the better you get. Yeah, they're putting ads on my stream. They better contract me, you bastards. Oh, can you imagine voicing a YouTube ad? Wait, you got a Honkai Star Rail ad on this stream? That's really funny. How'd you make that voice? What voice? You bastard. I don't know. Practice. Definitely practice. Which is one of the stages in this. Yeah, I think those are the big bits to hit on the script. So let's continue. We got some more stuff to talk about. Setup. This is gonna be the least interesting part. For you did? I mean, it's a Kafka ad. You really complaining? I wouldn't be. Part 3 is talking about setup. Least interesting for any of you guys that have any lack of interest in voice acting, because I'm about to tell you how to set up your microphone and to treat your gain. Needless to say, I don't know, maybe you find it amusing. I'm going to do some voiceover for this section to keep it a bit entertaining, because, you know, it doesn't have to be all surgical and sterile. Here we go. I'm going to pull up Audacity now. We can scrap this. Let's grab Audacity. Why am I doing Audacity? Tara, it's the year 2023, about to be 2024, and you, my friend, are using a program from the Dark Ages. It's a destructive workflow. If you amplify something, you can't go back. You can't undo that if you record more stuff. What's wrong with you? I'm going to tell you a secret, and I want you to treasure this, and don't let anyone tell you different or otherwise, because this is the truth. The most bestest program that you can work with is the one you're comfortable with. If it fits the needs of the project, if you can export in the correct formats, if you can do what the director requires you to do and you are comfortable in that program and you find yourself efficient because of that program, because you've worked with it for a long time, it is fine. There is nothing wrong with that. The best project is one you're comfortable with. Treasure that saying always. Don't have anyone tell you, "Oh, I'm sorry. Are you not using Audacity? Audacity? Are you not using Adobe Audition? Are you a joke? Who do you think you are? You idiot. You literally should go and bury yourself in the sand because you're awful and suck. You dumbass." Not true. Not true. I will use Audacity till the end of my days if I want to, because I'm comfortable with it and I can work with it quickly. If you're over us with OBS, okay, well, OBS, you want to record with OBS? Sure. You might have some issues with recording in higher sample rates, and good luck. I don't think you can edit in OBS, but that's fine as long as you export it to a different program. I'm sorry, I should have had a spoiler warning for the British jump scare. That was very insensitive of me. Yep, still terrible. So, let's talk about setup, because every person I've ever worked with in voice acting, including myself, has stumbled across this by accident when starting out, and they've not realized it until they've done some projects. And I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So I've joined a project. I've bought my new mic. I've taken its squeaky ass out of the box and I've set it up. I really should oil this thing. And I am now ready to voice my project. So I sit down and I start speaking and I'm like, "Hello there. Welcome to the project. I'm so happy you've accepted my voice in this. Oh my God, that's so sweet of you. This is my final submission for the line. I'm not going to be saving this file. I'm just submitting it. The end." And you go ahead and you send that to the director. You export it, call it a day. And then you discover that to this day, your super expensive 96,000 hertz sample rate, 24-bit, $450 XLR microphone that you spent your past 2 months' wages on has been set to a measly 44,000 hertz or lower sample rate. And what you've just recorded might as well have been on a Walmart mic. And because you've never voice acted before, maybe you just think this is how it's meant to sound. Maybe you need a $2,000 mic to sound good. This mic I'm using is about 120 euros, and it served me well. It's a 48,000 hertz, 24-bit sample rate microphone. What do those numbers mean? Go ask an audio engineer. I'm just telling you. So, step 1, because this is not the Audacity defaults. In fact, it's not even your computer's defaults. What you want to do is go into your sound settings on your computer. You want to go to, actually, sorry, not this sound settings. You want to open up the sounds option here. Probably familiar with this older school looking one. Now, under your recording devices, you'll see here I have quite a few. I've got my Valve VR headset over there is recording. My microphone live streamer is currently recording. It's my default. Disgusting. This should be my default. Hopefully this doesn't break anything. It shouldn't do because OBS is set to record from that. You want to go to the properties of this device, your primary device you're recording with. First of all, you want to make sure your levels are maxed out. You want to go to the advanced settings and ensure that the default sample rate is set to the highest that your device supports. In my case, it is a 48,000 hertz, 24-bit sample rate. You may have higher, you may have lower, but it might be set to lower by default. So, I can't tell you what your sample rate's going to be. I can't tell you what your bit rate's going to be. I can't tell you what microphone you're using, obviously. So, what I want you to do when you're getting started, take the box the microphone came in, or look it up online if you're not sure. Read through the specifications on your device, and set up all your programs accordingly. That's your default Windows programs, so when you're yapping away on Discord, you sound good to people, because that's pretty cool. But, same with your recording programs. I'm going to full screen this for a sec. You want to go into, on Audacity, the preferences, or hit Control P for a shortcut. You want to go to, actually, it's just the first tab. You don't have to go anywhere. Under audio settings, you first want to make sure that, depending on your, these things will vary. Ignore these settings here. Obviously, your playback device is what you're hearing through. Your recording device is set correctly. If your device is like mine, like all microphones to my understanding, unless you have some kind of binaural setup, it'll probably be a mono device. If you record in stereo and you have a mono microphone, if you've ever heard a YouTube video where you can only hear it through one ear, that's why. It's because you're only sending one channel of data, and the person who is receiving it is getting it through both ears, which is suboptimal. Yo, what's up, likes? Got all the stalkers you guys pulling up here today. Let's go. You also want to go down to the quality settings. This is where on both a default array and a per project array, you want to set your sample rate to what we just looked at. So for me, again, there's a lot of different options here, but mine, I know it's 48,000, so I want that to be my default, and I want that to be this project. Sometimes you'll voice in a project where they actually require a lower sample rate because they're dubbing an older game or they're working on a device that doesn't support higher than 44,000 hertz or such. I've worked on one such project where for a Final Fantasy mod I had to record in 44,000 hertz because the game had trouble with 48,000. But I only set it on the project rate because if I set it as the default, I say if I set it as the default, let me tell you something. I set it as the default. I did it. Roughly a third of my recordings on Casting Call Club are in a lower audio quality than my mic actually supports. Most people probably won't hear it, and honestly, I was exporting an MP3, which I'll talk about in a sec, but yeah, I was recording for projects in a lower quality than my microphone was, which is just sad. Because you can't undo that. It's recorded, it's done, it's in the project, it's live, it's shipped, and it's a little bit subpar. Not the end of the world, but it is what it is. If you record in mono, then the audio will only be heard through one headphone. Not quite. if you have the recording in stereo and your device is mono, then yes, it's going to be recording two different channels, the left and the right. But obviously your device is only giving out one. So yeah, it's only going to come through one. I think I can actually test that by setting it to stereo here. I record blah, 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 blah. You can see I'm only recording through one channel because my device only supports one channel. So if I listen to this, I record blah, 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 blah. It's only through one ear, which obviously is not good. Some YouTubers that are just getting started, they'll think, well, that sounded really rude. I'm not meaning to be rude to new YouTubers, but sometimes you'll see older videos where I guess the technology wasn't as accessible, or where the buzzwords are kind of more prevalent. Someone will see stereo. Oh yeah, stereo is good quality audio. I've heard, surround sound stereo system. That means better. They set it to that. And yeah, before you know it, it's out one ear. But there's nothing wrong with mono. It's not a bad word. Mono has its place. Mono doesn't have a place for some things. Namely, if you have like a big scene and there's sounds from different directions, you don't want it all coming from front and center. But voices do. You can pan and switch it later on, but you're only recording through one place, which is your microphone. So you only need it to be mono. Again, excluding I'm not even going to explain that. If you're recording in binaural audio, like the little ear thing from different directions, you know more about this than I do. I don't need to explain it to you. But yeah, make sure your settings are always set ahead of time. Now, when recording, a common mistake you will see. I'm going to lower my volume on OBS just for a second to record this so I don't blow your guys' eardrums out. But you will see this a lot of the time when someone is just getting started. I'm going to record this real quick. I'll be kind of quiet, but I think that's okay. Here we go. I hope this doesn't sound too loud anyway. Oh my god! They're chasing us! We need to get away from these guys! Run as quick as we can! Oh my god! Rebecca! You know I've always loved you! Yeah. So. I don't know where that came from. Rebecca. Yeah, sorry, I have some Honkai music playing in the background. To me, it just feels like I've got the game minimized now. What is wrong with this? Let's listen back to it. Oh my god! They're chasing us! We need to get away from these guys! Run as quick as we can! Cursed, right? Rebecca! You know I've always loved you! The problem is peaking. Peaking. Now, what is peaking? Peaking is where your device is receiving more audio than it is suited to receive. Your volume is above the threshold the device is prepared to retrieve. Contrary to popular belief, you cannot fix this once it's already done. If you have recorded like this, no amount of deamplification, no amount of compression is going to save the quality. You are going to come out with a disfigured result. Sip on my coffee. Now, what I mean to say by that, I'll show you what amplification looks like, because compression, a lot of people think it saves the day. It doesn't. Compression, which I'll talk a little bit about, but this is more an audio engineering thing. You don't need to worry about it too much as a voice actor. Compression is where you set a maximum threshold for the audio, and anything that exceeds that is going to be brought down back in line with the rest of the audio in general. You can also set a minimum threshold, but yeah, it's a little bit more complicated. The main part, its main job, is to make everything consistent. It's not to make audio louder. It's not amplifying. It's just bringing everything up to a certain threshold and not exceeding that. This is what it looks like if you try to compress audio that has already exceeded the level limits. You might think, oh great, it's fixed. It's no longer peaking, it's no longer hitting the top, but you can see these flat lines across the top. That's because any data that was recorded by the device that has exceeded the maximum level is gone. It has been destroyed. It doesn't exist. It never recorded it. It wasn't able to. It tried its best. You screeched into your mic and it didn't manage to salvage anything. You can't fix this. So you don't want to go about just screeching into the mic with high up gain. If you've listened to yourself speaking and you've gone, oh man, I sound kind of quiet, that's better than sounding too loud. You can always increase audio. And it's much easier to do than audio that is too quiet, but you can't save something that has gone too loud. Listen to this.
Oh my god! They're chasing us! We need to get away from these guys!
You can still hear the peaking, and the audience can definitely hear it too. So, what do? You've been given a role. Someone's told you, alright, I need you to scream at the top of your lungs, frag out. And so you do it. You scream into the mic, frag out. And what does it do? It peaks. Well, the first and primary thing you want to do is adjust the gain settings on your either audio interface. If you have a software setup, see, this is more of a general note. So again, your device is going to vary here a lot. I'm going to talk about how I would do it on my device just to give you guys a visual as I go through this. So let me grab Clang. This is my audio interface, the one that I use. Doesn't have a screech warning for British, doesn't have one for surprise German. This is my audio interface. This is what I hook my XLR mic into, and this is what controls the hardware settings on my input. Over here, I have my gain up in the top left corner, this little bit. Over here I have my levels. Everything else is going to be a variety of levels for the second input, the second device that I'm using, and for the third or fourth device if hooked in as well. I only have one device, so only these knobs on the side matter. This is going to be controlling the levels for my device in particular, that is the channel 1, and this is going to be controlling the levels for the overall sound. Now what you want to do, you'll have most devices a handy little marker, like here, which means the optimal setting for the device. So for me, I have my levels set to the little marker over here on the right, and I have my gain, usually when I'm speaking on Discord or such, set directly to the right, which boosts it somewhere between 3 and 6 decibels. Now the reason I do that is because I tend to be, at least when I'm just, my everyday doing stuff, I tend to be a pretty soft-spoken person, which means when I'm just hanging out on Discord, I'm probably going to be a little bit harder to hear if I'm just, mumbling to myself or whatever. So I boost myself up while I'm talking. But that's not ideal when you're doing a voiceover recording. What you want to do is lower the gain setting either to the minimum threshold or to a moderate threshold. So either pulling it all the way down until you can reach a comfortable point where you shouting into the mic pretty close is not peaking anymore. So I'll just give a quick comparison. This is with my gain settings increased 3 to 6 decibels. Just saying something along the lines of, I don't know, I'll say a blade line. What's a blade line that he says? You impede me. Right there. That's what the gain setting set to, actually, sorry. That was with it set to 0. With it set to 6, I need a louder line. He doesn't really shout much. We'll do some military stuff. I'll lower my volume on the mic on here.
All right, we're pushing them! Move up! All right, we're pushing them. Let's move up. All right, we're pushing them. Let's move up!
So, this is with 3 different gain settings. This first one over here is with the gain set to an increased decibel. Nice sort of, I knew go for impede me, so I want to hear the most. Let me lower the audio capture just a little bit so it's not too loud for you guys.
All right, we're pushing them! Move up!
You can see it's peaking, it's screechy, it's not very good. This one is with it set to 0.
All right, we're pushing them. Let's move up.
That's usually optimal for talking, and then I've reduced it just a little bit more, and even then, with how loud I was yelling.
All right, we're pushing them. Let's move up. All right.
You can see it's no longer peaking, which is ideal because recording your lines, anything that involves shouting or increased volume, you always want to adjust your gain beforehand to a moderate level, either zero it out or reduce it a little bit. For when you're talking normally, even then, you might sound a bit quieter, but having it zeroed out as well is usually the best, because if either you have to raise your voice during the line, or if you're just generally speaking at the same volume, good to keep it at that rate. That way you can always have retrievable data. Let's say this was too quiet, I didn't like this bit.
All right, we're pushing them.
The director can easily go through the amplification. Obviously, I wouldn't usually do this in Audacity, but elsewhere you can do it. They can amplify it to here.
All right, we're pushing them.
But if it peaks, like here, nothing they can do to bring it back down. So, when recording for a project, the lesson here is always, always, always save the data. Don't peak. Don't screech. Don't turn the gain up. Keep everything neutral. And whatever you do, keep an eye on the peaks the whole time. Make sure you're not exceeding it. Because once you've destroyed that data, it's gone. And that's the only real big things to worry about for setup. You got your audio settings in place. You're making sure you're not peaking and exceeding. The only thing to talk about last and not least for setup, and this is more of a final pass thing, is exporting your data. Now, a lot of people will discuss and debate .wav versus .mp3. What's the difference? Why would I use WAV? It's a bigger file, and also my phone doesn't play it. You idiot. Well, MP3 is a compressed format. Yes, it's going to be a smaller file size, but it's a smaller file size because the amount of data that is in there has been reduced. There's a lot of stuff that is cut and trimmed in the process of compressing it down to a smaller amount of data, because you can't make something a smaller file size and hope to keep every piece of detail. Which means when you're doing voice acting projects, you should, whenever you can, as much as humanly possible, export in WAV. WAV is uncompressed. Oh no, the goons are pulling up. Yeah, look, Mom, I'm 3D. Yeehaw. This whole stream is just gonna be the occasional person I know popping in, and I have to kind of sweat and look away like they're not here. Gah. WAV is not completely lossless. There are formats of WAV. You can increase it up to a 32-bit sample rate, bit rate rather, to make it almost completely lossless for a massive file size. Not worth it. Very, very rarely. Why would you ever do it? Because you could export a WAV file, import it into an editing program, export it again 1,000 times in a 24-bit sample rate, and still not reduce the quality in the slightest. You will still have all the detail you need. And at that point, it's just data file size that you're worried about, and support capabilities. No reason to do it. Goons deployed, goons ignored. So export in WAV, and don't worry too much about what the director needs just yet. Keep these for yourself. Keep these recordings. You ever want to listen to them back, put them in a demo reel once you're approved, it's better to have some extra stuff. Now, if you have a director who is using a program that it doesn't support WAV, first of all, I'm not saying it's a red flag, but you are going to be working with someone who has probably not worked with audio on a professional level. Expect to have some problems throughout the project, because someone who wants to use MP3 over WAV, 9 times out of 10, they're either using a quick, easy free program, which is not necessarily a bad thing, right? But it does mean the final product, whatever audio you give them, no matter how good, it is not going to be the full quality of your voice. You're not going to sound like a Walmart mic, but you are going to sound quite reduced, which is suboptimal. Obviously, you want your voice to be heard in the best way, and not every project is going to do that, and you need to come to terms with that, or speak to the director, and maybe they just don't know that it's possible to export in different formats that have higher quality. Namely, the very common, all too loved .mp4 format only supports AAC encoding, which is the encoder most commonly used for MP3. .mov, on the other hand, QuickTime, as you may know it, that actually does support the linear PCM encoding format, which is one of the waveform encoders, which is great, because that means .mov files, which is what I upload to YouTube, which YouTube, even though they convert it into an easier format file that works on mobile and such, they maintain that linear PCM. They keep your, I do very affectionate things to your VTuber model. Sino, you're among company that agrees. You're among company that agrees, unfortunately. With exporting this, exporting? God, you guys, you fucking gremlins over here still in my train of thought. You might as well speak to the director. maybe they just don't know. You can talk to them about it, figure it out, see if they'd be willing to take WAV as a format, work with a program that supports it, and try to get the best audio quality possible. Sometimes small projects, doesn't matter. They're not interested. They just want to hear, the final result or go with what's easy. That's fine. It's not the end of the world. It's artifacting. A lot of people aren't going to hear it. A lot of people just listen on mobile. They might not even notice. So not the end of the world. Wada! What's up? Model jump scare. Yeah. I've become 3D. I can look angry while I talk about stuff. Let's see. Yeah, Blue's not even here. You staring at my what? My bazungas? Do I have bazungas on this model? I guess I kind of do. Nice. I love it. That's it for setup. Any questions? Any questions from the class? Any questions from the... Hey, Caden, Sino, stop eating in the back of the class. Any questions? God, this coffee doesn't get any better the colder it gets. When we take a break halfway, I'm gonna make another one. The same instant coffee. Adobe has this online free software that enhances speech using AI. Enhances speech. We're going to get into editing very shortly. For a little bit, actually. Editing with AI, editing with software. Am I drinking cold coffee? Because, I don't know, it went cold and I didn't finish it in time. Look. These programs, including some that I use, they are doing specific things. It is not magically improving the audio, it is doing a set of things. These things are specific. Whether that's equalization, amplification, noise reduction, noise gating, they're doing something. Maybe they're boosting the gain, maybe they're amplifying, maybe they're de-amplifying, maybe they're compressing. Whatever they're doing, they are doing something to your audio. Or filling it with someone else's audio is an AI thing. I wouldn't do that. You usually want to have an unmitigated performance, but programs that have a make voice better option, it's good to know what it is that they're actually doing, because sometimes a voice goodifier or a sound goodizer, whatever they want to call them, they tend to, I might be able to do a spin for you. I'll see if I can do that in a sec. They tend to do a whole bunch of things. If you actually look through the settings, I'll pull up an ini file and read through it. They tend to be doing a wide array of stuff. They might be de-essing, they might be compressing, they might be equalizing, they might be doing all sorts of different things, and it's important to read through and know what they're doing. Because if you understand them, you can figure it out. Let me see if I can figure out how to do a spin while I read. Why a suit? I've always had a suit on my I don't know the keybind for rotating. I'm sorry. I won't be able to do it for you. Maybe I'll figure it out later. We had a nice little formal thing in VR chat the other day. It was very fun. We all wear suits. We all looked very, very cool. Very based. Became the de facto photographer for the night. It's very fun. Man, you know what'd be drippy as hell? If the mercs in Stalker Z had suits under their fucking, plate vests and shit. I'm gonna tell Harry. Go get us that immediately. Alright. On break, pop in while I could. Yeah, it was always great to see you, Wada. I want to do more. Obviously, we have some stuff coming up soon. I'm not finished with Juice yet. But more Silverwolf content with Blade. I love working on those. The, what do we even call it? Like the gamer tutoring one, where she's teaching him how to play the video game, was so much fun. I really like that. With Amnesiacs? Yes. Occasional. OCCAS. ASS. Ass. IONAL. I feel like I was being baited into saying something there. Maybe not. Yeah. I think that's all the important stuff for setup. Again, I mean, I'm not going to go into details of how to use every program under the sun, and it may shock some people. I'm not using Adobe Audition or anything, but again, the big lessons: preserve your data, export in the highest quality format, and downgrade afterwards. Check your settings and make sure they're equivalent to your microphone. And last but not least, whatever program you're comfortable in is best. The end. More Stellar Enhancer skits. Yes, there'll be some. We have one coming soon. I'm very excited for it. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Next up. Warm-up. Warm-up's fun. Contrary to some people maybe don't like it. I'm a pretty big fan of warm-up. I love getting ready for voicing a character beforehand, and it's really important. Anyone will ever tell you never want to strain your vocal cords if you're doing a character's voice. A few things that I go through when getting ready for doing a character. Number one, have water on hand. Number two, don't eat before voice acting. Give it like an hour. Have lunch, wait a while, then do your voice acting. There's nothing worse than doing an amazing take right in the middle of it, and you just drop this baller line right deep in the middle of it. You're like, I've always loved you. And then you're like, because you choked on some food or you burped or something, or you have like gas comes back up and you're like right in the middle of the line. Awful. Get yourself a hot drink. A hot drink is very, very good to have. Coffee's an option. I'm not going to tell you not to because I'm doing it and that'd be really hypocritical. But definitely get yourself a hot drink. Hot water, honestly, nothing wrong with it. Drink a cup of hot water as you go. Tea's very good. Green tea, quite nice. All sorts of different ones. The only reason you don't want to have coffee, by the way, is just because it dehydrates. So make sure you're drinking water at the same time. But obviously, then you're drinking two things, which, it's sometimes awkward. What is suffering from food poisoning is part of your character? Yeah, works well. Yo, Sino! Are those Swedish dollary dudes? What in tarnation? Let's go. It's been too long since I've been in Sweden. I don't know how to translate kronor anymore to Australian dollars, to euros. You beats me. Thank you so much though, you funny little guy, funny little goober. Cheers. Yep, dreadful. I hate it. Terrible coffee. I'll spend that on a good coffee. Drink some tea. Keep your vocal cords warmed up. You can strain them easily if they're too cold. And yes, one of the best things you can do, and Wada, you are spot on, is have a phrase you say for different characters. The amount of times I'll start voicing a thing for Blade and I'll be like, you, I don't know you, for like 20 minutes until I'm ready to go. Yeah, works. The amount of times in my life I have said, I'm Kaveh, an architect. If there's a project you'd like me to work on, I'll need a detailed description of what you have in mind. Is uncannibal. Absolutely uncannibal. It really helps you get into the accent, and really helps you get the voice warmed up, and you really settle into it. I might even just whatever I'm doing, I'll just talk through as the character's voice to get into it. Because it's really easy. I don't know, maybe it's less the case with people with different accents, but for me, someone who is very much not an American, I slip back into my Australian accent / British accent really often. So the more that you can commit to staying in that accent, the better. And being able to say some, you're gonna spoil me next time I come to Sweden? Oh, you better. You got games on your phone? That's a great one. You got any games on your phone? Yeah, that's generally my biggest warm-up part. All right, be seeing you, Water. Catch you around. And I spend a bit of time doing that, like a good bit of time. For Blade, especially, because his is, I'm not saying Kave is close to my natural voice. Staying hydrated. But Blade is really far from it, obviously. I don't usually talk like this just in my daily life. That's kind of weird. So for him, like, I will go through some lengthier lines. For Blade, I think the really, what is it? His most common one, the really long one, where he's like, the Mara Stricken line. That's it. That's usually my go-to. I'll talk through that for Blade. I'll go the full start to finish. We are all Mara Stricken in different ways, but my situation is unusual. Although the Mara haunts me, memories of it seldom cross my mind, be they of remorse, hatred, fear, or reflection. And then I feel like I'm ready to go. Sometimes I'll even say it right before. Like, I'll say a line I'm confident with before saying the next line. So if the line is something like, the first line of the project is like, what exactly are we doing here? I might be like, ew, I don't know you. What exactly are we doing here? That way it kind of flows straight into the voice, right? Which I think works pretty well. Even same with Kave. I struggle to get his cookie cutter Kave voice sometimes when I'm doing like a longer scene. So I'll just randomly throw out, just say like, Kave, 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 an architect. I'm Kave, Kave, I'm Kave, an architect. For like the better part of 5 minutes while in the middle of a line. Be like, we need to go out of the apartment right now. Kave, an architect. Kave. We need to get out of the apartment right now. That's usually the way to go with it. I would say you can tell from your voice acting you didn't really understand who Blade is. Absolutely. I've said it before on stream, but some of the funny conversations I had with my friends where I was like, what does Blade sound like? And like, I've heard some little quick bits of him. Blade, does that sound like something he'd say? Would he sound nervous? And they were all like, yeah, definitely, send it. So I went up with that weird, funny amalgamation for all the memes where he's, he's just a funny little guy. He's just a goofy little fellow. Sometimes I'll voice him more seriously, like the Blade trailer, where he's sounding all menacing and stuff. That I did much more seriously and quite different to how he speaks. Which, yeah, I think works a lot better. My funny bone is worn out. Caden, you don't have one. You don't have one. You don't have a funny bone in your body. The only funny bone you got in your body is the ones in your face. Yeah. I'm not broken. I'm yeah. Goofy Gooba Blade. I think I decided to stick with it at a certain point. Obviously, if there's once in a blue moon, I'll do him more seriously. And some of the other channel stuff I voiced him for, I do him seriously. But nah, I keep him normal. Yeah, I really think the line that summed up the best of him was, how did we go from just infiltrating the Japella Rebellion to working part-time at a GameStop? Oh, part-time at a Walmart. But yeah, warm-up wise, that's pretty much it. I don't have too much. I used to do a lot more general stuff where I'd be like, do the scales like fa 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 fa, all that stuff. Nah. As long as your voice is warmed up, it's fine. You don't have to do anything too I don't know what the guy told you to do, right? You can just do whatever you want. As long as your voice is warmed up by the end of it, you're doing it right? So you can suit yourself. The important thing is to get your voice warmed up and to drink warm things. Don't let your voice get cold and don't drink cold things. You will chef me up? What does that mean? Explain yourself. I got people with milk in plastic bags bagged milk Canadians. Now I got Scottish people saying they're gonna chef me up. What does that mean? Explain yourself. How do you motivate yourself to keep doing it when there is nothing major happening? I don't know. I've been uploading every single day for the past like 3 months, bro. I don't know why. Not even 3 months, like 2 months more like. I don't know why I've been doing it daily. Usually I just have dumb ideas throughout the day. I'm like, hey, what if I did this? Or I make a couple of them. So there's always something going on. And it's in between doing the longer stuff, like the Kave Blade skits and the demo reels and whatever else, and then the actual projects. But there's always something. Whether or not it's just doing something funny or some goof. Staying motivated is hard though. I've had some days, I'm not even kidding. I know I've done the funny meme where Blade's like, what if I'm not silly enough? But I really do sit there sometimes with my legs on the chair just like, I can't be funny. I can't be funny today. I've got nothing. There's nothing coming out of here. There's no, I can't even come up with a, what do you call a joke for Blade or Kave or anyone else. Those days, I'll go find another character and start researching how to voice them. That's how I ended up doing Sino. That's how I ended up doing, what's his name? Tainari. All the other characters from the skits. Because practice makes perfect. Oh, hey, speaking of practice makes perfect, that brings us to step 5. I'm really glad step 5 was practice. I can't actually see if it is or isn't until I click it. Yeah, practice. Multiple times the police are called. I make my stape. You're too maimed to be recognizable. You're going to maim me? What did I do? UNDRSC. Hello, Chad. Stuff is awesome. Oh, thank you so much. That's very, very sweet of you. Welcome to the chat. Wow, this coffee ain't getting better. Most streams, you'd make a count of how many times I say "guh" while playing Honkai. Today's stream is how many times I'm going to complain about the coffee that I made. Me. I went and bought the instant coffee today, downstairs. I went out, went for a walk, checked out the neighborhood, got some fresh air, picked up a parcel for Christmas, went and bought some instant coffee. Awful. Awful. March, steal his microphone. Any questions before we dive into practice too much? Any questions on warm-up? There was a few, but if there's anything else anyone wants to go over. I mean, that's kind of the only stuff I can share about it, my experiences there. Stop drinking shit coffee. It's not beans, it's instant coffee. It's like the stuff that, what do you call it? It's like the stuff that melts down. By Allah, you will not make it past midnight, Blair. Wallahi, I'm finished. Yeah, practice. Practice makes perfect. Practice as often as humanly possible. Practice when you're walking around the house. Practice when you're getting ready to record. Practice, yeah, I was kind of worried that step 6 was going to be practice and step 5 wasn't. You want to practice not just the character voices, but a few key things. Stamina is really important. Breath control, how much oxygen you can hold in your lungs, and then how much you can comfortably push out, and then how much you can take in before saying the next line is the absolute most important thing I think I've learned in voice acting so far. Some people may find other parts important, and of course, there's plenty that is. But to me, being able to say a long line, because my God, are there some scripts where they just don't stop? It's just a carry-on sentence. And sometimes you can get away with it, you can stop. If the sentence is something like, we've been looking at a couple of entrances, all of which are difficult to get into. Imagine I'm saying that in the character's voice, like Blade, or I'm like, we've been looking at all the entrances, and most of them are hard to get into, which makes it difficult to break into the window, so we have to find our own way around. That's fine, but I'm rushing that voice to get through it. If I actually want to say it properly, I have to take a deep breath, and sometimes you get to pause. You can say something like, the director's not going to mind. You say like, we've been checking out this apartment. We've been looking through the windows. You can take a breath in between those moments. But sometimes they're just like, can you just not stop? It needs to be a pretty quick sentence. And you're like, gah. Can I say no? No, I can't. It's not happening. You wish. What can I do? Yeah. I'm not doing it. No bleh. Oh wait, I said it. Fuck. You idiots. God damn it. Yeah. Lung capacity. Get used to doing longer scripts. Take some time to reread the lines repeatedly. Stay hydrated throughout it. Don't overburn yourself. But do sometimes just practice. I actually forgot. I did see a message earlier in chat, and I was running through my mind a few times. What microphone do I recommend? I can't really make a recommendation besides the one that I have, which is pretty good for me. I have a SE Electronics X1S XLR mic. It is a German-made microphone from SE Electronics. I only bought it because I live in Germany. It's easier to get a mic from Germany than it is to get a mic that's not from Germany. Lo and behold. Tolman's, they tend to sell that here, so that's it. Good mic. You're better off consulting someone with a bit more experience with audio equipment for what hardware would be best for you. As far as budget, I would recommend skip a USB mic if you want to take it seriously. Grab an XLR mic. Make sure that your computer can support it. Make sure that you have the required equipment, the audio interface if necessary, and the sound mixer if required. And most importantly, work within a budget that you're comfortable with. Don't drop $1,000 on it if you're not even sure you're going to be that interested, and you don't need to spend more than is really necessary. Did I do breathing exercises to adapt? I did learn some from my tutoring, and I'm going to be completely real with you because I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be completely honest here. I forgot them, and I can't find the Google Doc that we went over, so I forgot them. But generally, same as running, breathe in through the mouth, out through the nose. When you're doing voicing, though, breathing through the mouth because you want to take the breath as quickly as possible. Which to that end, I had the misfortune, I mentioned this on the stream the other night, I had the misfortune of getting COVID a couple of years ago, and that drastically hit my lung capacity. Even to this day, I have not caught up nearly as much. So more so than just energy. Okay, then I'll get to that in a sec, you creature. Most important thing I learned was how to take breaths tactically. That is to say, take a breath in the line. Between lines, they're going to edit out your breaths in professional projects anyway. That's not a problem. For longer stuff, they're going to keep them in because it sounds more natural. To that end, characters like Blade, it's almost like part of his character how much he breathes. Like, especially with that Mar line where he breathes in every line. He's like, remorse, hatred, fear, a reflection. Like, he takes these deep breaths the entire time. And, yeah. For that, just quick tactical breaths. Take it like that. Do the breath in character if you can. Like, don't drop the... I don't know, that's kind of hard to say, but try to keep the general sort of tone of your character when you're breathing. If your character's crazy and they're going insane, don't take a normal breath. Take a shaky, like, kind of a breath, like, right? You're a villain or whoever. If your character is... you got asthma, can't help it. Honestly, asthma plus voice acting, I can't even imagine. It must be so difficult. My lung capacity is like almost back up to full. I don't have much problems now after a lot of practice, but it used to be quite bad. Asthma would be a whole other ballpark. How did I get over the cringe from hearing my own voice? I didn't. I didn't. I I embraced it. I just put up with it. I honestly, the thing that helps the most, sometimes I just sit there and go, man, what you just said, that take was cringe as fuck, bro. Scrap that shit. You sounded like an idiot. You sounded like a fucking dumbass. Don't do that. Never do that again. And that's it. I'm pretty hard on myself, so, you know, maybe that helped. Free gooba if I say bleh. Would this be a goober of salt? Interesting. Interesting. Does it have to be live? I want it to be live. It's a commission, right? That can be offline. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Did I miss anything? Oh yeah, Sam. Sam, what you were saying earlier, leaving gaps, definitely, definitely important. Please, every director in the world, say your lines out loud when you say them. If you can't say them, I can't say them, or if I can, I'm gonna struggle through it and be very sad. And yes, feel free to take notes of how much time I spend breathing between lines. I'm not gonna stop you. Yeah, I think, honestly, probably the moment I got over the cringe of the voice was when I felt I could make myself sound different enough to how I usually sound on a daily basis. When I could listen to a take and feel pretty confident if someone heard that, they might not be immediately like, yo, that's you. Having a different accent helped a ton with that. I'm not saying I disassociate completely from my voice, but definitely gives that effect a little bit, right? Like being able to look back at the character lines and go, well, that's the character speaking a bit more than it's just me. That definitely helped. And the more self-critical I became and the more I could go through takes and know which ones sounded good and which ones I was comfortable with, the less I had to look back on. And practice definitely helped with that. I've voiced a lot of stuff. Honestly, a lot of my practice I have made public from those shitposts. And if you just take the simple matter of looking at my earliest videos versus some of the latest ones, you'll hear it. Props for transitioning. Thank you. I had no idea how I was gonna go. I was scribbling up these slides. I had some notes written down, but then I realized, I mean, I'm not gonna read them anyway. Dude, Vova crying over Slavko's voice. They killed Slavko, you bastards! I can't believe it. You killed Slavko. Now I'm going to kill you. Yeah. Honestly, this. I don't really want to bring this up, but I'm going to be completely honest here. So, I have, along with some of my colleagues here, let's call them, these little gremlins that have infested the chat. I have about 2,800 hours in DayZ. What the fuck is wrong with you? You're probably thinking to yourself, Tara. Who plays DayZ in 2023, let alone that much? Well, I play on a roleplay server. Yeah, hand me a shovel. I'm digging the hole deeper before we get to the point. On which I have played various characters, but most of the time I've spent it playing mercenaries, which are foreign agents sent to Ukraine to infiltrate the zone. Associates, colleagues, yeah, these two little idiots. Yippee! And on there, I played two characters. The first was Wombat. He was a British... Slavko was one of my buddies on the server. They killed him. He's dead. These characters, one of them was Wombat. I had not really done any live voice acting before, and it sounded awful. Like, when I tried to put on his accent, he's a British character, like kind of a Captain Price style. His voice sounds a little bit like this. When I first did it, it sounded something more like, his voice sounds a little bit like this, which obviously doesn't sound British at all. But by the end, you know, we were saying all sorts of stuff. We were yelling at people, we were shooting at people, having firefights, and nothing got me more into disassociating and putting into like a character voice and pushing it than Wombat. Because when you're spending the better part of like 500 hours talking like this, and you're raising your voice at idiots, and you're taking cover and running past and getting shot at in the process of it, you really get into the character, right? And I haven't played him in the better part of a year now, but that helped a lot. The second character I did was Region Commander Anderson. He was a Boston-based American mercenary who had kind of a chip on his shoulder. His accent kind of flurried a little bit, but spending the better part of several hundred hours talking like this made it a lot easier to stick with the accent. The only downside was I spent so long talking with a Boston accent that I couldn't switch over to a normal North American accent. This took me a long time to do. The second character I'm running there, though, Salt, he is a normal North American character. A little bit pretentious, but speaking as him for a while has definitely helped too. And that is my practice. I didn't do it in secret. I didn't do it in private. I did it live on a server and was so paranoid if I did it badly, people would be angry at me. But yeah, eventually I just gave up on trying to worry about if I sounded good or not and just sent it. And the amount we're yelling at people on that server and stuff, like storming into a compound and being like, all right, drop your weapons, hands in the air. Drop the gun! Drop the fucking gun! Do it now! That kind of stuff? Oh yeah, baby. That builds confidence. So much. And yeah. I'm info dumping my OCs. That's how I practiced. The point is, practice how you want. Just make sure you do it. 2,800 hours in a DayZ roleplay server, send it, baby. If that's your way to learn, do it. As long as you're finding a way to get in the hours, speaking as not yourself, building up confidence in the voice, that is the most important thing. And, yeah. Oh my god, F5, F5, F5. Surrender, surrender. And, yeah. That's the most important thing about practice. Yeah. Do it, and do it your way. Or however else. I don't know, I'm not your mom. Do it how you want. Just make sure you're doing it. And, again, same as before, like, you are the only person who can decide what is right for you in terms of practice. But consider consulting peers. If you have people that you trust, or people that are also in the same sort of sphere, talk to them, speak with them, figure out how exactly you can improve your voice. See what they think of how you're sounding at the moment, and constantly bounce off other people, get feedback. Try not to be discouraged. Some friends might just look at you, smile, and go, yeah, that's great, man. Either because they just don't want to hurt your feelings or they don't know. But I guarantee you, if I showed some of my early stuff, and my friend said that was good, I'd be like, you lying little bastard. That's terrible. Awful. Garbage. Which some of them did. Some of them did. Some of them, they were the breath of fresh air I needed, where they were like, bro, your diction is horrendous. Which it is, because my daily speaking voice has horrible diction. But you can't do that in voice acting, which we'll get to shortly. Me, an unhinged man who did a roleplay character in fucking Ghost Recon Breakpoint? Based! Yeah, man. Very based. Yeah, that's all for practice. I don't have anything else to cover on this point. Any questions? Otherwise, we'll take a break, halfway point, then we'll come back in a little bit and carry on with some more stuff. I'm not gonna say it, but I'm not sipping that anymore. It's ice cold. Yeah. Hope you guys are enjoying the topic so far. There's a lot of info dumping in some spots. Take it easy, Crico. Be seeing you around, Chief. Okay. That's what we'll do. We'll take a break here. I'll run an intermission for 10 minutes. And we'll come back at 10 past and resume with part 6. Recording. Yeah. The actual recording part. Let's get it, baby. Until then, I will be seeing you guys shortly. Goodbye. My name is Japard Landau. I'm a captain of the Silvermane Guard. If you discover anything... My name is Japard Landau. I'm a captain of the Silvermane Guard. If you discover anything suspicious in the city, you can always bring it to me. You're here. I just finished training. My apologies. I still have an assignment to attend to. I'll have to see you off from here. As a Silvermane Guard, I observe the oath not because I fear to go against it, but because I am obliged to uphold it. Belobog is far from buried in the snow curtain. This city is the planet's last bastion against the ferocity of the eternal freeze. I grow flowers. It's just that I'm not very good at it. Lately, many children have come to ask me how to become a captain. To be honest, the best advice I can give is to keep training and have a balanced diet. This ends here. Strengthen our defenses. You will know justice. The die is cast. Is that all? It'll heal. In the name of Landau, years of cold hardens the will. We shall never fall! Hey, you know, with Sampo Koski by your side, you've got a businessman, a chaperone, and a problem-solving conversationalist all rolled into one. Pretty sweet deal, huh? So, what's the job this time around? If you've got the cash, I've got the... No cash? Not a problem. Just say the word, pal. Come on, get some rest already. What's the matter? I'm not going anywhere. Me? I'm just an easygoing fella that looks out for the little guy. Free of charge, I might add. Who somehow gets pulled into everyone else's business with nothing to show for it. Like I said, I'm an easygoing fella. If you package it right, you can sell the same piece of intel to different people. That, my friend, is called maximizing your profit. I'm a firm believer in small talk brings big clients. Sampo Koski always takes care of his friends. Good. The stronger the better. We're just having fun. Sounds like more business knocking. Try this on for size? Yeah, hey, watch the face. What are you waiting for? The customer is king. And for me to betray the king, well, you gotta make it worth my while. I owe you one. How are you gonna win if you don't take any risks? Wherever there is business, there is Sampo. I am Jing Yuan, the general of the LeFou Cloud Knights. There's no need for formality. General is a temporary title, and you can simply call me Jing Yuan. Ah, you're here. If you have any interesting stories from your travels, do share them with me. Rest well. Oh, my apologies. There's still some work to be done, and I can't see you out personally. My past enemies are either dead or captured, and my past friends are scattered to the winds. Now that I think about it, I am indeed an old man. A master of the chessboard does not always make flashy moves. People take delight from one flashy move that saves the day, but never worry when the entire situation teeters towards a loss. Outsiders perhaps like to abbreviate the Xianzhou Lafu as just Xianzhou, but the Lafu is not the Xianzhou. The Lafu is the Lafu, no more, no less. Meditating with my eyes closed. That gets more difficult as time goes on. A foregone conclusion. Follow my charge. Conflict is pitiless. Hear this thunder. Was that it? Time for the master stroke. Radiant spirit, heed my word. Show no mercy. I should reintroduce myself. My name is Don Hung. I'm the guard on the Express. I also administer the train's databank. I updated the databank entries today, if you wanted to look anything up. Time to turn in already? Thanks for the reminder. It's easy to lose track of time in the archives. Before you know it, a whole day's gone by. See you tomorrow. I come from an alliance, and was born on a grand and beautiful ship that I barely had the chance to see. I can never return. At that time, I had nowhere to go but the Express. It's not really a hobby, but I used to read a lot. As vast as the universe is, it cannot change its past. Clemency? Never heard of it. Step aside. I have no interest in stoking conflict. Careless. The truth of life and death, revealed in an instant. This sanctuary is but a vision! Break! This body isn't that frail. This will strengthen our position. Past victories don't guarantee future ones. Hello, I'm Arlen. I head up the security department on Herta Space Station. I'll be in charge of your safety during your time here. We've held the Space Station Peppy finding contest 9 times so far, and I've won it 9 times in a row. I try to be inconspicuous when I'm on patrol. That way, I can avoid disturbing the researchers while they work, and observe their utmost concentration. You should keep your sword sharp at all times. Oh man. The phone case shipping location is too far from the space station. You have to order 5,000 units for them to deliver. Wait, please don't tell Lady Asta that. I heard the researchers say that there are some curios that actively requested to come to the space station. I don't know why, but it seems like I managed to annoy Lady Asta fairly regularly. Your number is up. Fight to win. Haven't learned your lesson? As you wish. Be silent. Barely felt it. Is that all you've got? Let me pay you back. Tenfold! You're in my way. I'm fine. Thank you. Oh, hey. I'm Luca, a member of Wildfire. Roughing up thugs and protecting the townsfolk is just part of my everyday job. The tournament's starting? Great! Let me get warmed up. Need a rest? Go. Tell you a secret, though. A champion wins by training hard while others rest. I don't fight because I like violence, or want to win the championship, or to show off to anyone. I just think there are too many thugs in the underworld, and the kids need a good example. So, give up yet? I'm just getting started. Need a hand? My pleasure. Don't get cocky now. Snap out of it. That all you've got? Where's the applause? Gotta keep fighting. Back in the ring. Strike first. An opponent worth their salt. Let's see some sparks fly. I'm going to tell you a secret. I was going to put this trailer dub in the 1,000 sub goal video, but I couldn't do the evil laugh in this pitch. So I just decided, fuck it, we ball. My sword will be the last thing you see. They declare me guilty. Yet their sin is greater. They've fallen too far for their lofty Cienjo ships. Until your sin is cleansed, my vengeance will pursue you. What the fuck is a honky straw trail anyway? My name is Japard Landau. I'm a captain of the Silvermane Guard. If you discover anything suspicious in the city, you can always bring it to me. You're here. I just finished training. My apologies. I still have an assignment to attend to. I'll have to see you off from here. As a Silvermane Guard, I observe the oath not because I fear to go against it, but because I am obliged to uphold it. Belobog is far from buried in the snow curtain. This city is the planet's last bastion against the ferocity of the eternal freeze. I grow flowers. It's just that I'm not very good at it. Lately, many children have come to ask me how to become a captain. To be honest, the best advice I can give is to keep training and have a balanced diet. This ends here. Strengthen our defenses. You will know justice. The die is cast. Is that all? It'll heal. In the name of Landau, years of cold hardens the will. We shall never fall. Hey, you know, with Sampo Koski by your side, you've got a businessman, a chaperone, and a problem-solving conversationalist all rolled into one. Pretty sweet deal, huh? So, what's the job this time around? If you've got the cash, I've got the... No cash? Not a problem. Just say the word, pal. Come on, get some rest already. What's the matter? I'm not going anywhere. Me? I'm just an easygoing fella that looks out for the little guy. Free of charge, I might add. Who somehow gets pulled into everyone else's business with nothing to show for it. Like I said, I'm an easygoing fella. If you package it right, you can sell the same piece of intel to different people. That, my friend, is called maximizing your profit. I'm a firm believer in small talk brings big clients. Sampo Koski always takes care of his friends. Good. The stronger the better. We're just having fun. Sounds like more business knocking. Try this on for size? Yeah, hey, watch the face. What are you waiting for? The customer is king. And for me to betray the king, well, you gotta make it worth my while. I owe you one. How are you gonna win if you don't take any risks? Wherever there is business, there is Sampo. I am Jing Yuan, the general of the LeFou Cloud Knights. There's no need for formality. General is a temporary title, and you can simply call me Jing Yuan. Ah, you're here. If you have any interesting stories from your travels, do share them with me. Rest well. Oh, my apologies. There's still some work to be done, and I can't see you out personally. My past enemies are either dead or captured, and my past friends are scattered to the winds. Now that I think about it, I am indeed an old man. A master of the chessboard does not always make flashy moves. People take delight from one flashy move that saves the day, but never worry when the entire situation teeters towards a loss. Outsiders perhaps like to abbreviate the Xianzhou Lafu as just Xianzhou, but the Lafu is not the Xianzhou. The Lafu is the Lafu, no more, no less. Meditating with my eyes closed. That gets more difficult as time goes on. A foregone conclusion. Follow my charge. Okay. Hiya. Get jump scared. I have acquired a coffee and it is superior to the one that I had before. It's very good. It's a cappuccino. That's a good cup of coffee. Yeah. Oh boy. back to where we left off. So, step 6. Recording. You got some salad? Snacking on some salad with the stream? I respect it. That's pretty based. Recording. This is obviously, needless to say, a very important stage in the process of being a voice actor, is recording your voice. There's some big pitfalls that'll happen, and this is just going to be a general, what I did just there, or I said it's just going to be, yeah, that's going to be one of the steps. It's very important to follow some really basic principles and guidelines to keep in mind throughout the entire recording process. It takes some attention, it takes some practice, but at the end of the day, when you go to submit your files to your director or such, if you don't want them coming back to you, or you don't want something going out there that's maybe not your best work, these are some important things to remember. Let me pull up Audacity. So, the most important thing are these two foundations when recording. Number 1 is going to be your diction. That's the difference between speaking clearly and having every word be very clearly heard as you're talking, and kind of rushing through the sentence so it's kind of hard to hear. Which is what I do a lot, which is what makes this very fun, because definitely a big switch when it comes to voice acting is speaking with good diction. It's something you practice, it's something you pick up over time. It's essential though. The one thing that you want the audience to be able to do next to appreciating your performance and believing your character is real is being able to understand what you're saying. Because sometimes you say things a bit too quick and your diction's not good enough and it just doesn't quite land. I actually had a lot of comments on one of the videos I did for Kave's alts, which I heard myself after I already published it and was like, wow, that was really amateurish of me. Is when Kave says, I forgot whose ult it is, Tainari's maybe? Whoever it is. He jumps up in the air, he fires like a thing forward, and he says, let's nip that in the bud. Now, nip and bud are both words where it's easy to quickly lose the diction. Nip becomes nip, and bud becomes bud, where you lose the sound for the P and the T respectively. So, when said quickly, let's nip that in the bud, can sound an awful lot like, let's sniff that in the bud, which sounds a lot like, let's sniff that in the bud, which obviously is quite different from, let's nip that in the bud. So, you want to practice good diction. Caden's back. What's up? I mean, Caden's back. What's up? It's good to see you around here. You've brought backup? What does that mean? Should I be worried? Probably should be. Yeah, so diction's very important, because if you skip over diction, worst case scenario is the audience doesn't know what you're saying. Best case scenario is well, actually vice versa. They don't know what you're saying, or they think you said something completely different. So, you want to try to avoid that. What's up, Uni? How you doing? I'm doing some voice acting content on here. Let's go, baby. Oh, this stream's full of mercenaries. Oh no, they've taken over. The second most important thing, next to diction, the two pillars I was talking about, is avoiding any vocal imperfections. That is a broad statement. You're thinking to yourself, what the fuck does that mean? It means a lot of different little sounds that you will make intentionally or otherwise. Some of them can be authentic and actually aid the character. Others are not so great, and you should redo it. The biggest ones are going to be lip smacks. I don't even know the name for it, but when your teeth clash together. Saliva sounds. Love them. And last but not least is going to be... what is the word for it? I guess voice cracking is probably the closest thing. Not necessarily your voice full on cracking and changing pitch, but when your voice catches in your throat and you sound a little bit uncommitted to what you're saying. These are tough. You need to pay a lot of attention to getting rid of these when you're recording, because you don't want them to make it into the final product, and the audio engineers are only going to remove so much. And when you're recording stuff that is either going to be heard closely by the cast or by the audience, or you're recording stuff that needs to be I don't know, like it needs clarity. You want to be sure that you're keeping these to a minimum so that the audience isn't going like, what did I just hear? Some of the most common ones, and I have trouble with this a lot, so for me this is one that I'm always paying attention to, is saliva sounds, lip smacks, these noises. If I'm talking really close to the mic and you're hearing a lot of sounds like this when I'm speaking through, it's obviously not super nice for the audience to be hearing it, and I'm sure it's not very nice for you guys to be hearing it either. Awful, terrible. When you're saying a lot of lines really quickly, or you're saying them in a strong accent, or you're saying them with a lot of air pushed into it, they're really easy to have happen. Happens all the time with Blade for me, which is such a nuisance because he takes a lot of vocal control to imitate, and so stumbling into that in the middle of a good take is heartbreaking. But it happens. All there is to it is just taking the line again. Take it as many times as you need to. I do a lot of takes. There is no harm in it. If you're not on, a studio's hourly sound, you don't have to worry too much for the timing that you put into it. As a matter of fact, some studios will sort of raise a brow if you blow through your lines too quickly, because they'll think, this guy's being paid by the hour. What is he doing? Sometimes you're paid by the word, though, in which case, by all means, do what you do best. But if you want the best takes, redo them. There's no harm in redoing a line many, many times till you get it right. And when I say redoing them, I don't mean additional takes or different variations of the character. Like if you have a character and you're not sure if they want them to sound deep or mid-voiced or high-voiced, or if you're not sure if they want them to be an American or a British person, set those aside completely. We're just talking about doing the same exact phrase you just said, the same intonation, do it again. Don't give them 3 takes where 2 are like, I heard he was over there, and then I heard he was over there, and I heard he was over there. 3 different variations, but 2 of them have like a bunch of spittle sounds in them. Yeah, don't qualify those as takes. Do additional takes of those ones until you get it right. Very important. It's the difference between a professional sounding, high grade bit of audio and someone who's just kind of quickly recorded it, or is just not mindful of redoing the takes. They're rushing, which we'll do. There's some I've done and slip into weird throat sounds, whatever happens. Humans, we're weird. Our bodies are weird. We make sounds sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta re-record them. The second, I guess those are the 2 most important pillars, right? The diction and clarity of speech, as far as all those sounds are concerned. But there is more. There are ways you can mitigate these. I mentioned earlier, drink warm tea. That'll avoid your voice locking up or causing any friction at the back of your throat or any injuries to your vocal cords. Keep them warm while you're voice acting. The second is going to be avoiding eating directly before recording. Give it an hour or however long it takes you to fully digest until you're no longer having any sensation of burping, any like kind of pausing to clear your throat kind of thing during the lines, right? You don't want to do any of that while you're doing the recording, especially not if you're in a studio. That would be really awkward. Do not, never do it. Never do it. Don't eat chocolate anywhere in the vicinity of recording. If you ever want to have the worst time of your life trying to record something clearly and not pausing to clear your mouth or whatever, don't eat chocolate. Don't eat peanut butter. Don't eat anything that's oily or has like taffy-like kind of texture, because you'll be spending the entire time doing this when you're meant to be speaking. No bueno. That was a bad take? What was a bad take? They're all bad takes. Damn, that's a good coffee. Wow, really, I've come full circle there. Last but not least, we already ran over in the setup stuff how to record yelling voices. But to lead into our next part, if anyone has any questions on this, happy to take them. But we're going to get into editing as the next section. So I'm going to record some stuff here real quick. Getting the camera makes up for most of these. That was a bad take. My take. Oh, your take. Huh? Oh, that kind of take. Take is in a take. I understand. How tall are you? What kind of relevance? I'm 187 centimeters. That's 6'1". I measured the other day. Like 2 months ago, actually. But, you know, time flies. I'm not 4'3". Take it back. It's not true. It's not true. Oh yeah, chocolate. Chocolate is the worst because think about eating like a bar of chocolate. Think about how like there's remnants or residue on your tongue and the top of your mouth for ages. Yeah, you don't want to do that right before recording. It's really bad. Same with drinking immediately before recording. Definitely stay hydrated throughout your sessions, but don't like drink and then go straight into speaking. You'll be struggling to clear your mouth at the same time. Ah, you're 4'3". I swear to God. All right, but as for editing, I'm going to record a quick couple of lines, and I want to... Not even a foot tall? Oh my God. What the hell? So tall for such a gooby snooper. You guys. So for this next bit, case in point, coffee too. Coffee with lots of milk. I'm going to record some quick little lines, and then we're going to go through and edit them, right? And I'm just going to give you a genuine, like, this is how I would do these takes. This is how many takes I'd probably end up doing. This is how I'm going to go through and edit them to get them to the final product. So I want to bring up a couple of lines that I have here on my other monitor. Let me go looking real quick. Some of these lines are going to be from my boy Garen. From the hit Skyrim mod. Meridia's order. Wink. Alright. Garen's script. Got it on deck. Why does it take out half my monitor? This should be here. Yeah, there we go. Oh? This needs to be over here. Uh-oh. What did I do? Okay, we're good. Never gonna do Q&A lives again. I've learned no lesson, and I never will. Alright. So, I've got some lines here. Here we go. So there's some of them are going to be like soft-spoken lines. These are almost all exclusively going to be British stuff. How do you displace a massive amount of population in Stellaris? Exterminatus. Mass genocide of the planet. It's the only way. For the Empire. Let's see. I'm also going to, as before mentioned, adjust my gain before recording, and I'll lower my mic volume as well, so you guys don't hear me quite as loud. But lowering the gain, which will be around about here for how I'm usually recording. Obviously, it's a little bit quieter for you guys now, but that's my usual go-to. All right. Let's see. One thing I'll do as well is I'll start recording before I'm even like really getting into the voice lines, just so like I'm not going to pause and stop this. Record everything you can and then trim it up later. It's better than having a bunch of like, you know, stuff. You just mumbled something and you're like, wow, that was actually really good. And you missed it, or you got to stop and hit record. All right. I'm well aware of the urgency, champion. I have 1,000 different ideas running through my head all at once. As for finding someone who has entered the realm, frankly, I have no idea. However, if you were to bring them back here, I'm certain I could transfer their essence to yours, transporting you to Cold Harbor. transporting you to Cold Harbor. It's a risk. It's a risk. It's a risk. It would almost certainly cause their mind to... It would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse. But I'm sure you would be safe. But I'm sure you would be safe. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I must have mistaken you for the champion of Meridia. Of course it has to be you. You have more experience with the Daedra than most of us. You have more experience with the Daedra than most of us. Don't go soft on us now. Alright. Alright. That's a sufficient number of lines. It may not have been super easy to hear, but a couple of those I stopped. Because I started... Actually, there was one really good example I did where I rushed into the line. I think it was the... Where was it? It would almost certainly... I think I sped through. Let's give it a quick listen. I'm certain I could transfer their essence to yours. Transporting you to Cold... Transporting you to Cold... It would almost certainly cause... It would almost certainly... It would all... Yeah, right here. This... It would all... It would all... Very easy to do. You might not even notice you're doing it sometimes when you're speaking a long line, where you just kind of send it, and it would all... That it's meant to be three words, right? It sounds like one kind of weird little gangle of a single line, which is suboptimal. So that's a take I just scrap, and sometimes I won't notice I've done it. I'll have to retake it later, but this time I caught it. It would almost certainly cause... It would all... You can see here on this line, I've accidentally got a little puff of air. It would almost... With the t, I went it, and it makes that kind of affected sound, popping through the mic. So I did another take afterwards. It would almost certainly... And I did it again. So this is a point where I'd be like, well, fuck. Okay, I'm going to record this another time and be more careful with how I'm saying it. It would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse. But I'm sure you would be safe. And just to be more sure, I might move a little bit back from the mic and be extra cautious I'm not pushing any air through. It would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse. But I'm sure you would be safe. But I'm sure you would be safe. And so we can jump back to here. It would almost certainly... And just to be more sure, I might move... It would almost certainly cause their mind... So this one... It would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse. Ended up coming out quite fine. Versus the earlier one back here. It would almost... Where I just kind of... It. Too close to the mic. Too much air pushed through. Not great. A few other takes I have here. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you can hear that sound? I hate this. I hate that the human body does this sometimes. Listen to this sound. Oh. What is that in the back of my throat? It's like... Terrible. When you get a perfect line, you're like, yeah, nice. And you listen back and you hear something like that. Cursed. I must have mistaken you for the champion of Meridia. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I must have mistaken you for the champion of Meridia. That take clean. No artifacts, no weird sounds. Of course it has to be you. You have more experience. You can hear another one here at the start. You have like a little click sound. Sag. How about this one? You have more experience with the Daedra than most of us. That one was clean. So sometimes, even when I'm confident with a character, I know the voice, I've voiced them for this project, right? Sometimes you will catch hiccups because that's just natural. And you can noise gate out some stuff on either end. If I'm in the between this, like, you can see it took a little breath here. That's going to be gone. No one's ever going to find that. That doesn't exist. You just hear this. Oh, maybe not that. You have more... You'd be able to trim anything before and after. You have more experience. So you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. But if it is in the middle of your line, if you make a weird sound or something happens in the middle of a piece of dialogue, fix it. Go back. Record it again. Another take. Audio engineers are going to pick it up. If you've got someone, God forbid, you're lucky enough to have a booth where there's a guy listening to everything, he's going to be like, plosive. And you'll go back and take it again. Maybe he'll say something else and be like, too much air. S is hissing. Whatever else he gives you, those directions. But if you're doing it on yourself, by yourself, on your own, you need to be mindful of your own imperfections and fix them. That's a good cup of coffee. So yeah. Now we have this giant gangle of stuff. Some of it's, stuff me just yapping on. I'm well aware. Some of it's takes I don't want to keep. What are we going to do with it all? How are we going to edit this? Well, you have two options. You can export this from here to a different program that you prefer. Preferably a program that has a non-destructive workflow. That is to say, if I went like this in Audacity, that data is gone if I do something else. If I change it like this, I can't then go back to here and grab and slide out the bit I've removed. It's gone. Other programs, like your typical video editor, you just slide the point across, like where you want to cut it. And then if you want to get it back, you just drag it back again. Non-destructive, you keep it. Now I'm a little bit of a cowboy. I tend to just do my editing in Audacity. Being very careful to make sure the stuff I'm removing is the stuff I want to remove. Because I do a lot of these and I have a lot of files laying around and I want to be able to pull them into different projects pretty easily sometimes. And for me, it's kind of cumbersome to go to grab a voice file and it's the original version. It's got all this stuff in it, right? One thing I'll do as well is I want to drop a WAV in for a project, or I want to drop it in a demo reel, whatever else. I want to do a video with the same file. And I've got all this junk I've left in there. So I do mine at the source. It's a destructive workflow, yes, but I'm only destroying the stuff that I do not want to keep. I usually try to take all the takes I want to keep and leave them in this file when I export. So let's go on. The next step. Here we are. Editing. Good coffee. There's not too much to talk about here as far as super important stuff in Audacity. This is really straightforward. This is the process I'd go through and do. I'll quickly trim up the lines I want to take, then I'll show you how I get them to the program where I work with them, or otherwise wrap up with them. So let's just, I won't talk through this because obviously I need to listen. But you'll be hearing me anyway, so what the hell. Oh yeah, and needless to say, PC storage space. Yes, the tidier your files, the less data you store, the better. If you really want to be smart though, before you edit, save the project, save this as the base file, then a copy of it, and edit the copy and trim that down. Yeah, it's taking up more data, but that's a way to keep the original file, while also, when it comes to your usage of it, you can save time. But yeah, let's go through. I'm well aware of the urgency, champion. I have 1,000 different ideas running through my head all at once. As for finding someone who is all at once. That imperfection there is that little sound I make. Hilarious, right? Is on the outside of the dialogue, and I didn't have a breath leading into another line, so I can actually just trim that out. My head all at once. Like it was never there. I'm well aware of the urgency, champion. I have 1,000 different ideas running through my head all at once. Always leave a bit of space between your lines. Your director will thank you. As for finding someone who has entered the realm, frankly, I have no idea. However, trim this back to here. However, if you were to bring them back here, I'm certain I could transfer their essence to yours, transporting you to Cold Harbor. I wasn't a big fan of that take in general. If you were to bring them back here, I'm certain I could transfer their essence. Not a huge fan of that take. However, this one had a bit more. However, like this sounds more like he's like reading a script, right? However, but this is much more like, hang on a sec. However, blah 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 blah. So I'm gonna leave that take in there. Transport. But this is probably the one I'm going to end up using. I'm going to trim this back. However, if you were to bring them back here, I'm certain I could transfer their essence to yours, transporting you to... Another imperfection. Fortunately, no breath. Transporting you. I fixed it in the later take. So, we can trim this back. Transporting you to Cold... there's a breath leading into it. Transporting you to Cold Harbor. I thought that was an imperfection there, like a little sound, but this is actually part of the transport. We can trim this back. Transporting you to Cold Harbor. This is also another thing to note. You will get mixed opinions on this. If you can't do it well, don't do it. If you can do it well, I mean, still maybe don't do it. But from time to time, it's no harm. As long as you can do this effectively. If you have a line, like one continuous line, and you like the second take you did on it, but the first take, like you're going into a breath with it, you can take the breath from that first take to lead into the second take. And what I mean by that is this part here. Where I take this breath, because I take the breath before I start speaking, I'm not going like, however, where it's like part of the breath, I can take this one back here and trim it to the end of that one. Transporting you to Cold Harbor, making it sound like one seamless take because the breath is still there from the original line. I'm certain I could transfer their essence to yours. Transporting you to Cold Harbor. It sounds pretty seamless. Sometimes, if your energy is completely different, you don't want it to go like, I can harness the energy from yours. Transporting you to Cold Harbor. Obviously, that would sound really stupid, right? So you want to make sure the energy matches, but if it does, and you've done the take effectively, it was just a retake because you made a small imperfection. Golden, you're good to go. Dogs joined in and watching the live stream. Oh, what's your dog's name? Give him scritches for me, please. It's a risk. It's a risk. It's a risk. It's a risk. I like this one the most, actually, the first take I did. It's a risk. It's a risk. That one, diction kind of bad. It's a risk versus it's a risk. It's a risk. It's a risk. It's a risk. That one had the best diction. It's a risk. But I wasn't a big fan of the vocalization behind it, right? So I'm going to keep that one, but I'm going to trim the middle one. That's a take that I don't think I want to use. Yeah, again, that can go, absolutely. Don't need it. It would almost certainly cause their mind to... It would almost certainly cause their mind to... This one was just a very flat line. It would almost certainly cause their mind to... You can hear the concern, but considering what he's talking about, it does not sound very distressed. So I'm going to pull that one. It would almost certainly cause their mind to... permanently collapse. Now again, with these takes here, you can hear the breath impact on the T, so I'm going to grab the ones I recorded later. It would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse. That was rushed. Their mind to permanently collapse. Their mind to permanently collapse. You can say that for some lines, but this is quite a dire, like, cause their mind to... You might think of the words you're going to use. Permanently collapse is not something you usually say about someone's mind, so you probably pause for a second and go like, cause their mind to permanently collapse. And just to be more sure, it would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse. But I'm sure you would be... But I'm sure you... And I didn't record any... certainly cause their mind to... With that in mind. So I'll record one extra now real quick. It would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse. Terrible diction. Awful. It would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse. That was a good example of a, I always forget the name of them. We usually call them EX in the programs I worked in. Exertions. That little breath in there. It would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse. That sound right there. Little hesitation. Makes it clear this guy's uncomfortable with what he's doing. Permanently collapsing a mind, pretty heavy stuff. I'm going to copy that. Jump us back over to here. Let's see, where were we up to? It would almost certainly cause their mind to... Oh, I'm sorry. But I'm sure you would be safe. That line was fine, so I'm going to keep that one. I'm going to cut this here. Risk. It would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse. But I'm sure you would be safe. Which comes out as a nice little take there. It's good variation of emotion. Got some moments that are sort of the character speaking a bit more, some more whispery stuff. Works out pretty well. Oh, I'm sorry. That just sounds like a script, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Not just like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I retrieve this imperfection? This little sound I made for some reason. I think I can. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that little breath in there, I think helps it a lot. Like, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I must have mistaken you for the champion of Meridia. You have more experience with the Meridia. I must have mistaken you for the champion of Meridia. Of course it has to be you. This isn't even peaking, but a little bit... Of course it has to... A little bit grating here. Of course it has to be you. Would sound a little bit better. I'm not going to be too picky on that one. We'll leave it for now. You have more experience with the data. You have more. Unfortunately, it's in the line. Tragic. You have more. But I caught it. I heard that when I was recording. I did it again. You have more experience with the data than most of us. Don't go soft on us now. And that will conclude the set of recordings. So we can trim these out. Take this whole little set right here. And I'm well aware of the urgency, champion. I have 1,000 different ideas running through my head all at once. As for finding someone who has entered the realm, frankly, I have no idea. However, if you were to bring them back here, I'm certain I could transfer their essence to yours, transporting you to Cold Harbor. However, if you were to bring them back here, I'm certain I could transfer their essence to yours, transporting you to Cold Harbor. It's a risk. Trim out this breath. It doesn't really matter, but you can take it. Harbor. It's a risk. It's a risk. It would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse. But I'm sure you would be safe. Oh, I'm sorry. I must have mistaken you for the champion of Meridia. Of course it has to be you. You have more experience with the Daedra than most of us. Don't go soft on us now. With the Daedra as the line. Daedra, the demonic entities from Skyrim. Villainous creatures. Alright, we have a set of takes. We have some lines, we trimmed out the imperfections. We have a set that we can work with. Now, there's a couple ways it could go from here when it comes to editing. Let me check what I named the next part, because it might be relevant. Nah, it's not relevant. We're not to submission just yet. As part of editing, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and up to, obviously varies by program, but I'll export this as a WAV file. We're going to put this into, I have obviously a lot of different files and stuff. Let's call this one video tutorial. As for naming conventions, this varies a lot. Depending on the project, they may have different requirements. Everything from the name of the character to the name of the chapter to absolutely nothing at all. Generally, what I'll do is put in my name underscore the name of the character. So in this case, Garen. And then if there is no specific line that I'm recording here. Oh, no experience with the D. I understand. I'll just call this all lines and underscore raw because this hasn't been processed at all. This is the complete .wav unprocessed file, maximum file size, maximum uncompressed audio quality. Make sure that the encoding is set appropriately. For me, it's going to be a 24-bit. Feel free to research the rest of these. Depending on your needs, depending on the project, you may be required to use other ones, but 16-bit is usually fine. 32-bit, pretty overkill anytime. You would never really need that. 24-bit is the most suitable compromise between file size and file quality. You can export. Next up, for me personally, we go on to my favorite program in the world, DaVinci Resolve. Now, DaVinci Resolve is a free program. It quadruples as quite a few different things. It is an editing suite for editing videos. It is a compositing suite for high-end visual effects. It is a color suite for color grading, color balance, and it is also an audio suite for editing anything from dialogue to music. There's a couple of very, very handy tools built into this program, as well as a very clean and consistent delivery page for getting your files out in a suitable format for your project. For me personally, I've used everything from exporting directly from Audacity and calling it a day, to Sony Vegas, to Adobe Premiere. This has by far been my favorite program to work with. So I will simp for it every day of my life. Let's take the audio that we recorded. That's under snippets and things. It's under, don't ask what that is, you'll never know. Video tutorial. Here we go. So I'm going to take this file and drop it into the program. Leave that on ice for now. So, There is a couple of different things I will treat my audio with depending on the needs of the project. I'll show you how I treat my personal videos, I'll show you how I treat some of the professional work, and then I'll show you how I usually just export it for the general use. Now, obviously I reduced my gain when I was recording to a flat level, and again, not being the loudest speaker in the world, even speaking as this character is quite a soft-spoken character, I'm well aware of the urgency, champion. You can hear it's pretty low compared to most of my dialogue. So a couple of ways I can go about this. Good coffee. I used to treat it manually. I'd go through, normalize audio throughout, trim it as needed to expand the volume. However, and again, I'm going to simp like crazy for DaVinci. DaVinci has a built-in dialogue leveler. It's basically a compressor of sorts, but it doubles as a couple of other different tools. It has your usual compression, reduce the loud dialogue, low-end compression, bringing up the softer dialogue, and background reduction, which serves as a AI-based, if I recall correctly, means to remove artifacting or noise that is unnecessary. It also has an automatic output gain, so you can increase the total volume coming out. So, just giving it a quick listen. This is with no other editing or effects applied, no other changes. It may take a second to process before you can hear it. I'm well aware of the urgency. I have 1,000 different ideas running through my head all at once. As for finding someone who has entered the realm, frankly, I have no idea. However, if you were to bring them back here, I'm certain I could transfer their essence to yours, transporting you to Cold Harbor. However, if you were to bring them back here, I'm certain I could transfer their essence to yours, transporting you to Cold Harbor. Pretty good, It's a risk. It's a risk. It would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse. But I'm sure you would be safe. Oh. Now, that may be all you have to do. Maybe you don't even, maybe your audio director, project director wants completely raw audio, which is very common. I'll send it out to them just as it is. Some projects, not to diss them in any way, shape, or form, but they'll skip this step. They'll throw in the audio and call it a day. If your audio is too quiet, they'll ask you to make it louder, which it's fine. Not everyone's skill set is going through the audio engineering stage and getting the audio all balanced. Sometimes you rely on the actors to do it. It's not great form, but it is the reality if you're working in a non-professional setting. Understand that people you're working with are passionate and they have their ideas and the things they are good at. And it never hurts to build up your role and confidence in your part. So I might level out the dialogue for them and send it as that. Now, and this is quite a rare one, if you have a project where the director requires you to break the lines up and label them by line or by take, it is pretty straightforward to do it in DaVinci Resolve as well. Namely, the way I do it is just going through, switching off the dialogue leveler, because again, it's using an AI to do it, and it's going to keep reloading it every time I trim this. What I do is I go through and I trim out each and every line directly in the middle between the takes, making sure I'm not trimming, frankly, I have no idea, a line like that where there's a breath. I trim this one. And in the delivery settings, you could go through, and there's better tutorials than I'm going to give on this, of course. You can go through and export as individual clips. That way, when you render it out, you're going to have like line 1, line 2, line 3. And I'll give you a quick look at what that ends up looking like if I go to Meridia's order, got all my raw lines, my session tone. I sometimes also record 10 seconds of just no sound standing in front of the mic to help audio engineers use that to clear out any of the noise in the background. And then I have the actual individual lines all labeled out as such. So for this project, there was 256 lines, which I had to go through individually. But the result is a nice clean set. Most projects are not going to have you do this. It's a lot of extra work on the voice actor to do. But in case there is someone that wants to do it, or it's a small project with friends, and your buddy is like, hey man, can you just help me out and turn them up on your side? A good way to do it is through DaVinci's individual export. Other programs have similar, of course, Adobe and such. But that would be the primary editing that I do there. As far as going through editing a file for my videos, I sometimes do a little bit more treatment, because obviously I'm the person doing the audio engineering. I don't have someone I send it to and then they do it. I go over to the Fairlight tab. This, I can write a love letter to Blackmagic for this. It's a full digital audio workstation. Every feature you can imagine. Even supports VST plugins. Like if you have your own reverb software, you can plug that in. It's great. It's brilliant. And it also has some very, very handy presets, which if I pull over here, you've got the dynamics, the equalization, the panning, everything built into here as well for the whole track channel. I'm going to full screen this for you guys at this stage. What that allows you to do is treat each individual line of dialogue and then treat the total dialogue at the end, the bus. The bus is where each track is being sent to. You can have multiple buses. You know, you can say all the dialogue goes to this bus, applies something to it, then that bus goes to the next bus, the final bus that has the final treatment. But it's a nice way to kind of go through and have everything be treated on its own. Namely, I'll have all my dialogue on one track with all the reverb and stuff. And then I'll have like the next layer that could be the sound effects and stuff. Reminds me of when I did dubbing. Ah, nostalgic. It's great. So, usually for my dialogue, I'll put it through the dialogue leveler. Make sure that's refreshed and going through. And then over in Fairlight, under the Dynamics tab, some of these are default. I need to re-import them, but I've made some presets as well. But these sets of dynamic treatments, they have a lot of settings that they do. Which is why when I mentioned way back at the start of the stream, these AI programs or quick, easy presets and stuff, they're doing a lot of stuff, and it helps to know exactly what they're doing to understand it. What this has built into it is a limiter, which is going to say any dialogue that goes over this threshold, or under a threshold, depending, is going to just be completely removed. If I yell at the top of my lungs, or if I go too loud here, I'm well aware of the urgency, champion. It's going to cut it from that point. You can, of course, have a different attack and release. So once you hit that point, it gradually turns your audio down till it's not hearable or not audible. You can also have a hold setting to keep it. So if you say, yell something loud, it'll take this many milliseconds for it to start lowering the audio till it's not audible. And it will stay not audible until this point here, for however long the duration of the hold is, so 100 milliseconds. The release at the very end is what's going to determine how long it takes to slowly bring the audio back in. The threshold is how loud your audio needs to be before it's going to be cut out. The makeup is going to be some extra gain, essentially, posted at the end. So if you wanted to boost the audio up across the board. The compression is essentially, and I have a brilliant image that may help you understand this visually. Compression is going to be where you take the audio that has exceeded a certain point and bring it back down. So instead of cutting it or removing it, you're lowering that audio down. Any audio that's too quiet, you're lifting up and putting it at a threshold or kept within the threshold. It's compressing it. It's keeping it within certain bounds. This image really helped me understand it quite a lot. This one, right, yeah. So essentially, it's rather than trimming the audio, rather than completely removing it, it's just pushing it within a certain boundary that you give it, as opposed to axing the audio itself. The gate over here, very similar to the limiter, is the low end. So it's the where the audio has to be in before it gets switched off. That is to say, any audio that is too quiet, for example, if I bring the threshold down, anything below 50 decibels, which might be stuff like really quiet breathing or clacking on a keyboard, lowering that down to 50 decibels is going to be removed completely, as in like gone. Not packaged up, not increased in volume like the compressor might do, and not axed off the top like the limiter would do. So, I say all this because when you hit any of these that do a whole bunch of stuff and you're looking at this like, what in the hell? Why does it make it sound good? Why is it doing cool stuff? Why is it louder now? Well, a dialogue leveler is first of all, it's putting an expander on there, which is going to increase the optimal area, namely this threshold here, anything above 35 decibels is going to be increased by a certain amount. Of which actually, I'm not sure exactly how much it's putting across. Obviously, I can't see the numbers here. I wish there was an option to, like, it's about 20 maybe. The compressor is, of course, keeping everything within certain bounds that it's decreed. So if I were to be yelling, it's not going to go above that volume there. It's going to keep it all within here. The limiter is not turned on because, again, we don't want to completely axe the audio. We want to bring it down so you can still hear it. If I'm yelling, you can still hear the yelling. It's just kept within the confines of the rest of the audio. So what I'll do, even though there's a compression on this level here, the expander I'm using is bumping the audio up an additional 3.9 decibels. It's making my speech a little bit louder, so it sounds like this.
I'm well aware of the urgency, champion. I have 1,000 different ideas running through my head all at once.
What I'll do then is go over to the bus itself. And again, I need to get my presets back in here. But as far as the bus is concerned, I will usually put my final compression in here. So this is more compression. A little bit more makeup, a little bit more compression. Now this is important because the first time I compressed my dialogue, I boosted it up a little bit more so it's more audible. Now what I'm doing is bringing it back down in line just so, although it's louder than it originally was, it's still going to be within the confines of this compression. This compression is going to be a little bit higher than the other one. So it can carry a little bit more dialogue before it cuts out. What this is important for is if you have lots of things going on. So let's say I've got this is my speech over here. And I'm going to grab some, I want to grab from my Starfinder stuff. I'm going to grab some sound effects. Yeah. Let's go ahead and grab some ambience. Industrial ambience. That should be nice and loud. Let's grab this over here. So if I solo this audio, you can give it a quick listen. I'll bring it down a little bit so it's not too loud. Oh, you see? It's quite loud. If I turn off the compression that I switched on, and I can turn off the one on my dialogue as well. Quite noisy. If I'm speaking at the same time as this, with no level dialogue, nothing at all.
I'm well aware of the urgency, champion. I have 1,000 different...
Can't even hear me. Not even audible. Even with the dialogue leveled, there's going to be a little bit of audio left behind. I'm going to boost this up again a little bit extra because dialogue should be held, to my opinion, should be the most audible thing, at least in the style of videos I do where it's like, you know, the character speaking has no expressions, they're just the voice.
I'm well aware of the urgency, champion. I have 1,000 different ideas running through my head all at once.
You can still see it's quite hard to actually make out the dialogue. So the expander is going to bring it up just a little bit more while not letting it go above a certain threshold. And then the final compression is going to help bring the industrial audio in as well. I don't have any presets for the industrial audio, but I probably put a compressor on the SFX tab as well, so you get a result that's closer to this.
I'm well aware of the urgency, champion. I have 1,000 different ideas running through my head all at once.
So even though that audio in the background is as loud as it gets, because it's compressed to the same threshold as the dialogue, they're all competing at the same level. So if I were to just bring that down a tiny bit, it's still quite loud, like as far as background audio.
As for finding someone who has entered the realm, frankly, I have no idea. However, if you were to bring them back here, I'm certain I could transfer their essence to yours.
It sounds much more audible, much easier to hear my character over the speech, or over the sound of the machinery. Same goes if there's explosions and people running around. Compression is a godsend. Knowing what each of the different factors as far as leveling, compression, and such works. I thought it was a vacuum cleaner, yeah. It's a really nice way to be able to get your audio heard over the top. If you ever listen to a YouTube project where they're playing explosions and gunfire in the background and you can like not even hear the guy talking, it's probably because nothing has been compressed. Even if they turn the audio down, suddenly the gunfire is too quiet. What you need to do is be targeting the parts you don't want to be too loud. That's what this compression is doing. Anything that's going above this threshold I've indicated is going to be cut and brought back down. Same goes with the final dialogue, same goes with my character's dialogue, and the end result you get is a really nice
transporting you to
piece
Cold
of audio.
Harbor. However, if you were to bring them back here, I'm certain I could transfer their essence to yours, transporting you to Cold Harbor. It's a risk. It's a risk. It would almost certainly cause their mind to permanently collapse.
Even that, a line where they're whispering,
But I'm
right here,
permanently collapse.
you can still hear it, nice and audible. This is because the soft dialogue is being lifted up. The compression means the latter parts have been kept in line. Nothing's going to catch you off guard. If you ever watched a movie with bad compression, where you like have to turn down the volume every 10 seconds because sometimes it's loud and it's quiet, the dialogue's like this, and then suddenly the explosions are all over the place. Drives you crazy. But that, my friends, that's the editing segment. I'm not going to show you how to video edit because that doesn't seem relevant to, to sending out stuff as a voice actor. But if there's any questions you have from that, I know that was a lot of information. If you ever are really curious, of course, feel free to pick back through, find the parts that interest you. The topics of compression, audio limitation, gain, what all these things mean is a great topic to understand. Because if at the very least you're not doing it yourself, you know what your director's doing and you know how you can help them. Big sip. Let me get my stuff set up for the last few parts while we wait. Okay. No questions, no inquisitories. We are cooking then. Go on to the next bit. Submission. This is going to vary, same as every step along the way. This is going to vary a lot based on the person that you're working with. What their demands are, what they require. Demands. Sounds like they're got you at gunpoint. Give me the voice acting. Whatever their requirements are, this is going to vary. But I'll point out the key parts to worry about. The only things that are really going to matter that much, which is going to be namely the organization of your files and the submission as a whole. So there's a couple of things you can record if you want to up your game just a little bit. The first, we have the all lines that I've recorded here. If you really want to help out your audio directors, a truckload. Just listening, taking notes. Understood. There's something really easy you can do. Behold. Boom. Beautiful. I didn't do anything. I just sat there, right? But what do you hear? Aside from Honkai music. You hear me breathing. You hear me slightly moving in my chair. That kind of stuff. Room tone. This data is invaluable to your audio engineer. They're going to take this, plug it into their program, and use that to remove stuff from your audio that is not required. Stuff that is not related to your voice, all this stuff in the background, they can take it out. I'm not an expert when it comes to that level of audio engineering, so I personally skip that step because I don't think I need that standard for most of my videos, considering what they are. But if you ever wanted to up your game, that's a great way to just include this simple thing. Session 1, room tone. Last but not least, if you were like me and you went through and you treated the audio a little bit, I'm going to switch off the compression that I did here because your director's probably not going to want you to pre-compress your audio. That's kind of a weird thing to do. Don't do it. Lifting up the dialogue is fine. Background reduction I might remove because they might do it themselves more effectively in the end project. But I will be exporting this piece of audio here that I've treated just a little bit. Under the video settings, I'm turning off the video. Under the audio settings, I'm setting it to waveform or WAV. Codec is a linear PCM. Sample rate, same as the project, 48,000. And the bit depth, I'm setting to 24-bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and export that clip right there. And I'm going to call this all lines underscore pass one. Add to render queue. Export. Now we have some treated lines. So if they were to listen through this, they'd listen to, I'll give that a second to render actually before I yap over it. You'd have 3 files in total. The room tone, just some plain, simple audio. They'll have the raw audio. I'm well aware of the urgency, champion. They'll have my treated audio. I'm well aware of the urgency, champion. So, these 3 files is what I'd be sending to the director. Simple as that, with all that packaged up, I'd right-click all the files, 7-zip, add to archive. If you don't have 7-zip, or WinRAR, or another compression program, you want to have one installed. I don't remember if Windows has a default one, but I can definitely recommend 7-zip. Packaging up all of those files, giving it an appropriate name. Let's call it ItsMeTeraVO Garen project lines. And this is what I would send to the director. So they could open this up on their side, and they get to see the project files. Extract them, listen through them, can send this by email, Discord, whatever the requirements are. That's how you get the final files in their hands. If I were to add those individual lines that I'd split out and rendered separately, I'd include that as its own folder when exporting. In fact, I think I still have the Meridia's Order Garen lines here. Yeah, so I put them in a folder as well. So these are all individually exported. Which means is this Genshin music? Sounds like Genshin music. Isn't this Subaru? This is a Honkai playlist. Weird. Or is this Belobog? Probably the same composers. Anyway, this is completely irrelevant. That is how you would handle submission. Of course, discuss with the director how crediting is going to be held. Email them the files. How payment is handled if it's a paid project is going to be up to you to discuss with the director. Personally, I take a deposit up front of half the cost, and then once I've submitted the final files to them and they are satisfied, then they would send the remaining amount. Which brings us to one final step. My favorite step. I love this step. When you get an email about this step, you're over the moon. That is John Genshin. Retakes! Retakes. Retakes. You love to see them. They're going to happen sooner or later. Some important things you should know about retakes. Number 1, they happen. There's nothing wrong. It doesn't mean your quality as a voice actor is diminished. Retakes are simply what you've sent is not quite what the director needed for the scene, or there may have been an imperfection that you missed. If someone is asking for retakes, it's because what they need is not what you've sent. Simple as that. Doesn't mean your voice acting's bad. Doesn't mean they don't like the character. Doesn't mean they're like, well, you kind of sound goofy. They wouldn't ask for retakes. They'd speak to you and decide on doing a different change to it. Everyone from professional standards, AAA studios, retakes happen across the board. It's perfectly normal. Some of the best actors I've seen PCAP footage of my job have straight up like fumbled a major line like 8 times in a row before they got it right. And the director just says from the top, voice acting is no different. Sometimes what you send, because you're recording in isolation a lot of the time, retakes are going to happen on your own terms. Like you're going to make your takes and then send them. The director's going to listen to them. They're not going to have that immediate feedback while you're still in the studio. So you're going to have to take them again later. Usually these would be done at the same time as the rest of the lines, but even then, even when it comes to that, it is 100% possible that the director's vision shifted, requirements have changed. Maybe the character is now injured in the scene because they decided to add a scene earlier where they got wounded, and they're like, hey, we need you to take it from the top, but you're injured. Maybe they get to the final take, the final playthrough of the game, and they're like, well, it doesn't quite fit the energy we were going for here. We need you to do them again, but a bit quicker. These things happen. It's totally fine. It's part of the creative process. Never get dejected or feel bad if you have to do retakes. Are retakes paid? That's between you and the director to decide. There is no standard. Some people pay for retakes. Some of them pay a reduced cost for retakes. Others don't pay for retakes. You need to negotiate that when you're making the agreement with the director and decide ahead of time if there's going to be retakes, are they going to be paid? Sometimes I get a little bit slacky and I don't mention to the director, they don't mention. Fortunately, sometimes retakes just never come up. But when they do, sometimes we can both be like, am I being paid for this? Or they'll say like, don't worry, you're going to be paid for this. To me, if I'm enjoying the project, I don't mind retakes. I'll do them for free, it's fine. Other times, if it's a really hard scene with a lot of energy and they've shifted the design of the scene, and that's why they want retakes, yeah, I'm probably going to want payment for it again. If it was an absolutely ballbuster of a scene, or it was just a lot of dialogue. Because again, retakes can be on your side, they can be on their side, it varies completely. But nothing else to really mention on them. It's kind of one of the last steps, one of the final parts, and is really just an extra sort of addition. Which brings us to the very end of the stream. The wrap up. So, what are some things that you should know? And if you ever have any questions about anything that happened today, now is the time to ask them. I mentioned earlier, if you're watching this in the VOD, please, of course, by all means, throw them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them here in the video once the VOD is up a few hours later. Otherwise, feel free to ask in the chat now. The parts I want to mention, though, if you're going to take paid roles, please, for the love of God, look up a few things. Number one, taxation brackets. On the off chance you exceed your taxation brackets, you do not want the IRS or your country's equivalent coming and kicking down your door because you took $500 in voiceover commissions. Be very sure to consult your tax authorities, their websites, check the threshold for earnings, and if necessary, do what I do, apply for a freelance license if you require it. Simple as that. It's not as scary as it seems. Maybe it's a little bit scarier in Germany because, you know, their bureaucracy frightens me. But chasing up that stuff is important. I've learned that voice acting is kind of hard. True. Yes, it is. It's not as daunting as it may sound. There's a lot of stuff to consider here, but again, I'm covering a lot of bases. This is stuff that you just usually learn over time and kind of throwing it all into a couple of hours. There's a lot of important things to consider, but at the same time, there is no harm in making mistakes and learning it as you go. I just wish there was a little bit more of a casual, introductory kind of thing to it. Just straightforward. This is genuine. An amateur that's not in the professional series talking about how to land gig, and the first thing they drop is get your agent to blah blah blah. Like, agent? Bro, I don't have an agent. Who do you think I am? So, I hope it was helpful in that sense too. What else? I feel like I'm about to run Simulator Universe with this playing in the background. I guess there are some extra bits I could mention. Demo reels, get them done professionally. If you want to do like one that you're sending into companies. Otherwise, if you're doing one for yourself, don't worry too much about it. As long as it's something you're keeping like on your website or such, it doesn't hurt to update it now and then, replace things. Eventually you'll be able to have a voice reel of stuff you've worked on, which is always very effective. But your demo reel, you know, take it easy with it. Don't worry too much. When you're ready to send it to a company, if you want to do some more serious professional stuff, take it serious. Like, you know, have someone look over it, seek out professional help as required to engineer the audio for it, because you want to make a good first impression. Otherwise, it's not a huge deal if you're just doing it for amateur stuff. On that note, speaking of amateur stuff, accents. Talking about voice acting stuff, but thinking of Honkai. Yeah, that's me. You've summed me up entirely. Sometimes it's both. Voice acting honky stuff. Accents you want to be careful with. You... I've done this before. I did a Scottish accent recently. I don't really want to talk about that role. It was rough. You should make sure you're very confident with an accent before you push it into a project that you know is going to be public. Because accents, when done wrong, you can hear them. You can hear when it's not a real accent. If you're not very confident in doing it, see if you can just do your natural accent for the character. Practice like crazy. Remember step 5? Yeah, step 5. Practice the accent all the time. Consult your friends, look up guides, learn the ins and outs of the language, the habits and things. Yeah, wait until you're able to do a British accent through a whole stream like me. Yeah, that's what you should do. But if you can't do it, you just gotta switch back to your natural American accent. Use that for whatever you're voicing over. Yeah. That's kind of it. I don't have an outro, so very talented indeed. Yes, sir. I'm great at playing a British character. Just drop the accent, they said. I'll carry that to the end of my days. Drop the accent. Oh man. Could you stop being British for like 20 seconds, please? Can you stop being an Australian for a minute? Oh, that's funny. Not the first time it happened either. It happened with another project. It was much less serious though. It was very funny. Yeah. I hope this was informative. Whether you're here now, whether you're sitting through it all, whether you popped in and out, or if you just showed up in the VOD. Greetings. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for sharing. Definitely will not get into it myself. Always good to learn something new. Real. I will say, Serenica, when we first met, I'm pretty sure I said this to you. I was like, have you considered doing voice acting? Because there is a, obviously there's character voice acting and stuff, but there is also podcasting and just general audio dramas, other stuff that's just purely vocal, but some people just have a great voice to listen to, and that's what makes the streams entertaining, as well as the personality and such. But tuning into your streams, very chill. You have a great voice for streaming. Nice to listen to. You don't have to become a voice actor, you're all set. Voice acting's always been a dream of mine. Yeah, well, if the time's not right, the stuff in between, someday. Like British or Australian, I don't know, man. I don't know. His neutral accent, I don't know, man. I grew up with an Australian accent. Yeah, it sounded super strong, very strong Australian accent my entire life in Australia. No, I always had a goofy accent. A lot of people in my hometown did. Don't know why. There's just a few things to give it away, like the way I say water. Aside from that, though, yeah. Stream was very chill. I'm glad. What the hell? Personally, I wouldn't take that, Uni. I'd kick his ass. Stiff as a brick? No, not at all. Not at all. Your streams are very entertaining. I love tuning in. And I hope I keep managing to catch them at reasonable hours. I hate how tired I get so early these days. Getting old. English is not your native. True. Oh man, I have no experience to share on the matter of that in general. That's a huge topic to get into that I have no way to cover it. Yeah, bilingual actors, actors that have English as their second language. People with thick accents too. I have no words of support or words of experience or anything at all, so I apologize. I will be completely silent on that topic, because what would I even say? You may have trouble. Do your best. Drink water. I have no idea, so I'm not gonna comment. The accent's used. Yeah. Yeah, they have. Are you coming to roleplay with us today on the famous DayZ server named Stock Z where we're roleplaying as Western mercenaries? Nah, I'm playing Star Wars The Old Republic in 30 minutes. Or whenever D&D's over. I think Scante's running. Maybe later. I haven't played in a while. I need to yell at some loners. Don't move! Drop the weapon! Get your hands up! Like playing Ready or Not has given me that experience. Glad you enjoyed my tea. Oh yeah, I forgot about the tea. That was a funny time to tune in. Can't believe we got the person wrong. Alright. Alright. It's been real. Made some sound effects stuff. Oh, please, by all means. Uni, I never get tired of hearing your stuff. Speaking of, I'm gonna get you on the channel sometime, homie. We're gonna make some content together. You ever voiced a Honkai Straw Trail? What about a Genshin Impact? You know what those things are? No? You heard of the hit character Wilt? A Huahuo? Or Hanya? Great characters. I'm embarrassed how long I was saying Huahuo instead of Huahua. Alright. That's it. I'm gonna head out, get some food. Yeah, I don't play Genshin Impact. I just voice over it. The amount of times I just fucking not even know what a character sounds like till I look them up and I'm like, oh, interesting. I only voiced like 3 characters from it. Albedo, Tainari, Sino, Kaya, and whatever else. Yeah, that's honestly, that's why I love Honkai. And Genshin too. I'm not gonna lie, the gameplay on Genshin, meh. The community surrounding some of it, meh. I've caught some of the good eggs around here, which is great. Some of them, especially the Twitter ones. But the point is, the voice acting, the characters, the character designs, their dialogue, all top notch. The translations are really well done. Everything sounds satisfying. Kave, oh my god. Kave. Yeah, there's a character named after you, Sino. It's crazy. Kave, an architect. I'm inside of your house. I am inside of your house. Oh, I'm from Sweden, yeah. Going to the Kustbageriet to get my cinnamon roll. Jag kan inte prata svenska, ja. Oh, my favorite word in the entire Swedish language. Ja. Ja, eller hur? You do I boy Kave like that? Yeah, well, the characters to forget the one I voiced like literally daily for months. Kave? Who? I know. It's just like Sino. It's just like Sino. Nah, unfortunately, all Scandinavians I know, when they speak English, just sound American. You know it's true. They all just pick up American from... They pick up English from American television, so... Yeah. I saw a great meme, I'll see if I can find it for you guys later, but they were like... Scandinavians, looking at an English accent to have for the rest of their life. It's like the Union Jack, the American flag, and the Australian flag. Ja, eller hur? Jag vet. Bro, Valley Girls in Swedish, they're very funny. You sound American, yeah? Best I can tell. Catch you around, Serenica. I hope to catch you on your stream soon. Or on the Discord, or wherever else. I apologize. Unfortunately, these two eggs have allowed Caden into the Discord. It's all downhill from here. Alright. I've literally been sitting here doing nothing for like 5 minutes. I'm gonna get some dinner. And yeah. Nice long stream tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed some voice acting stuff. And yeah, until next time, I hope this has been educational. Again, I preface this at the start, I'll preface it again. I'm not a professional, I'm just a guy. And this is the perspective and experiences of just a guy. So, yeah, the paragraph says amateur in the title.